Right, folks, welcome to episode 39 of Brew Time. Look who we got, Lyndon Poskitt. I told you he was coming. How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm very good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, all good. Now, this has taken a bit of groundwork, this, hasn't it? We have been trying to get this together since Dario was on last year.
Yeah, I'll be honest, I was waiting for episode 100. I thought I'll just stick it out to keep putting you off, but to be honest, you were so persistent, I just thought I'm going to have to give in.
I'll get you back on for that then.
Yeah. See how long away that is.
Now, you are one hell of a busy man.
Yeah.
Anyone that's not following Lyndon on his various social media and his YouTube, I mean, geez, you've packed. Bear in mind we're in like lockdown at the moment. You are working your arse off at the moment.
I don't know what it is. I give myself. It's like self-punishment because nobody's telling me to do it, and it just keeps coming. Like these ideas and things just keep going. It's just crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah.
I don't know where it comes from.
You plainly have a very high work ethic and drive, and I think, not that I'm comparing myself to you, don't get me wrong, but you strike me as the type of person that when you set your mind on something, it's happening.
Yeah, it's a bit like that. Yeah.
My mates, I come out with these harebrained ideas occasionally, and my mates just, well, they now realise that if there's a certain glint in my eye when I say something, they're like, oh shit, he's serious, he's going to do this. So.
And this is what I'm like, right? We're already live. My mind is already thinking, is the camera working properly? Right, I'm going to check it. 1 second.
He's already done this like 5 times.
This is what it's like all the time. This is my life. It's like, check this,
I think this is called OCD, Lyndon.
Yeah, it's a major problem. Anyway, it's all good. We're recording. I've even got backup cameras. I'm going to take a picture. I'm going to send it you afterwards.
Beautiful. Happy days. Well, we have had a couple of horror stories in the early days of this podcast where like technology just failed us massively, and we've had to re-record them. And
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen or listened to any of these podcasts, but this is just a real chilled out chat. I post up on my social media to say who's going to be the next guest, and then people have the opportunity to leave some questions, and sometimes they're sort of orientated about your background and what you've done, and other times they're totally random, so it keeps things going.
It's totally cool. I'm as
Awesome.
easy going. I'm ready to lie down. It's been a busy day, so let's
get your place on the couch.
Yeah. I didn't bring beer, unfortunately. I don't know if we're going to get onto that, but I just bought and a cup of tea, and I bought it in the visitor's mug. So I don't know if you can see that.
What's that say?
It says, this is a visitor's mug for our house. It says, after this, you should probably get going.
I like that.
That's my brew. Sorry, guys. No alcohol on this one.
Nice to meet you, but do one. Yeah. What's the story then?
Just tell me to shut up if I keep going on about and just on and on and on and on. I was just going to say the reason I'm not drinking alcohol, Bruce, is because quite literally, if I have one drink, I will fall asleep. So and I don't want to fall asleep on the TeapotOne show. So
wouldn't be good advertising.
Yorkshire tea.
Plug. Yeah.
But hey, I bet you haven't bought one of these though, Bruce. I bet you haven't bought a lemon cheesecake.
Oh God, no, I am on a health kick at the moment.
Sorry, I'm showing my camera, not you. Yeah,
I can see.
I was just passing the shop on the way, and I was like, you know what? I could actually have one of those.
Man, I thought you'd cook that yourself. I thought you'd made it yourself.
No, I could say Camilla made it, but if she knew I was eating it, she wouldn't be happy. So.
No, you're on a tight ship, does she? Is she your dietitian?
No, not at all. She's dead easy going. We get dead easy going. Yeah.
Awesome. Right now, not that I imagine there's anyone out there who has never heard of you, but before we crack on, I'll put this over to you, Lyndon Poskitt. Couple of minutes, the floor's yours. What's your name? Where'd you come from? What do you do?
2 minutes.
Well, let's go 5 then. Let's push the boat out.
I'll keep it short. So, Lyndon Poskitt from the UK, and I've been riding motorcycles since I was 10 years old. I'm an aerospace engineer by profession, so spent my best part of my working career on fast jets and all kinds of things in military aircraft. In 2013, I raced my first Dakar rally after spending years riding all kinds of different disciplines of motorcycle racing. So I started with trials riding when I was 10 years old. Then I went on to enduro, motocross, supermoto, road racing. I mean, I always kind of try to explain it to people as jack of all trades, master of none. Had a go at everything, but I don't have many trophies. So, but I've had a bloody good time doing it. So
you've made up for it now, haven't you? Blimey.
Yeah. So that's kind of me from there. Dakar 2013 obviously was a bit of a life changer, really, because when you've achieved something like that, after years of riding motorcycles, the pinnacle is like to go to the Dakar Rally, and stood on the podium in 2013 with my dad as my mechanic, and came back to work totally deflated, just in the office, just like, what is this? Like,
what's the point now then? What now?
And it wasn't very long before I started a new challenge, and then I had an accident running a marathon, and I noticed one of the questions is about that, so we'll probably come on to it. But many things, combination of things came together, and I just pretty much decided, okay, my life is motorcycles, not sitting behind a desk pushing numbers and poking people around. So I made the decision to leave and start traveling around the world, which is a dream that I'd always had. And in my own mind, I'll think I'll race the Dakar because I can always travel around the world when I'm 50, and I probably won't want to race the Dakar when I'm 50, so I'll put them that way around. So that's what happened. I started traveling around the world. My plan was to do it for a year to 18 months. Just realised how awesome it was, how cheap it was if you did it right, to fit your budget. There's always so many different ways of doing it. And the video series, I started a video series for fun, and it just went mad. I mean, I think there's 200 episodes now. It's crazy, and still releasing them. In fact, the last episode is about to go out on Patreon. It's like been so long ongoing, you know. But it's been great, and I'm so glad I've been able to finish it, because I'm a real, like, I finish something that I start, if you know what I mean. So so traveled around the world for 5 years, did every continent, 250,000 kilometers. Did a race on every continent on the same bike, built my own bike to do it on, and then came back to the UK after 5 years travelling around the world, which I also met the love of my life while I was travelling around the world, and that's another story. Decided to settle in Spain, and that's where I am now. And for all you listeners in the UK, I just had to put the air conditioning on before I came and sat here, because it was a little bit hot. So that's a little bit of a whistle-stop trip of me. I'm sure I've missed loads of things, but that's a general overview.
Wow, awesome! Right, so we'll speak to you later then, yeah, mate. That is mega. I mean, there's so many things there that we can talk about. Your trip, 5 years, 250,000 kilometres. Was it 70 odd countries you went through?
74 countries,
74 countries. And then you raced, was it 11 different races, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So it was always an idea that I actually thought I could travel around the world in 18 months, because like Ewan and Charlie did it in 4 months. So if I do some races and I do a bit longer distance and everything, I can do it in 18 months. But when you get traveling, you'll know yourself, Bruce, when you get traveling, you really find your way of how you want to travel and the things you want to do, the pace you want to go, and it's completely your own trip. And no matter what anybody says to you, we're doing it too fast, doing it too slow, not seeing this, it's down to you. You decide, and my decision was to race. I wanted to race on every continent, and that was my biggest thing, was to do a big race on every continent. And I didn't plan to do another Dakar rally while I was traveling. All that stuff just kind of happened, and these ideas kept floating into my mind. And I just kept thinking, yeah, we can knock that off, and we can knock that one off, and we can do this, and we can do that, and it's just mad. I mean, I have to say, those 5 years traveling around the world, for me, the way I did it, it was probably the 5 most hectic years of my life. It was bonkers. Yeah.
So what were you doing then? Were you just like, did you have a tent with you, or did you have place? Did you stay with people as you went?
No, I had
accommodation.
I had a tent, and my priority was always to try and camp. Save money. Camp in the middle of nowhere because I love riding off-road. So it was always my. Yeah,
I'm not an off-road fan.
Yeah, it was. That was. You need to come down and get some training, Bruce. Come on.
Oh mate, the amount. As soon as I mentioned about you coming on, people were like, "Get him to teach you how to ride off-road."
Yeah, get down here, and I'll get you out on a small bike first, and then we'll get you out on a factory rally bike, and you can give that a blast.
Right, you're on. Factory rally, good God.
Factory rally, Bruce. Mate, come on, guys. Who wants that? You're going to get in the comments below if you want Bruce to come ride a rally bike down here.
Oh, Jesus. I already had, I don't know if you listened to Chasing the Racing. Do you listen to that podcast with Chrissy Rouse and Dom Herbertson?
No, there's so many things I want to listen to. Honestly, Matt, I've just started listening to stuff in the workshop because I spend a lot of time in the workshop. But I've stopped listening to music. I listen to books, I listen to things, and I'm just getting into it. Yeah. But there's so many things to listen to. Yeah.
If you like tarmac racing, short circuit and road racing, then the Chasing the Racing podcast's awesome. Right. Chrissy Rouse was last year's National Superstock 1000 champion for BSBs, and Dom Herbertson is a TT road racer and various other road racing. So I did a podcast with them, and somehow got myself signed up to do a pillion lap with Dom around the TT and a pillion lap on the BSB circuit with Chrissy, and it's like, oh my God, who's going to kill me?
Yeah, awesome. No, it is really like the people that you meet just makes it, and
absolutely,
that's what
totally.
That's really what it boils down to, is like that people became so generous towards me and so wanting to see me and wanting to meet me, and it encouraged me to do more. And obviously I'm pretty motivated anyway as an individual, so if I think, there's a rally on a different continent in 5 months' time, and I could ride across this continent and that continent in 5 months and get there, then I just do it. And it got to the point where actually it was the people that were slowing me down. Because it was like, hey, come and stay with me, come and stay with me. But no, it was ace.
So what is the travelling over and done with, or can you see?
No, for sure not. So yeah, there's some big plans in the future which involve travelling.
Watch this space.
Yeah, both motorcycle and non-motorcycle. So I think once it's in you, it's in you. You got the bug, you've got the bug. That's it, And I'm really fortunate that Camilla is also really outgoing and loves travelling and adventure, and turn a hand to anything, and have a go at anything. And that's great. So I've kind of met my match there, and we get out and have a lot of fun. So.
Yeah, makes a hell of a difference, doesn't it? Having a supportive partner like that in your life, effectively, it allows you to do all this stuff. I'm the same. My missus, I'd met my missus before I set off on my trip, and she supported me the whole way, and she's still here now. And
that's exactly what you need. I mean, there's the bit of a background between me and Camilla is I met her while I was travelling after 3 years, and had a bit of a time off because I was training for Dakar, so we saw each other a bit, and then there was only Africa left to do, and you can ride through Africa in 4 weeks if you wanted to, and don't see anything, just hit it through Africa. Or you could do it in 3 months and see a little bit, or you could do it the Lyndon Poskitt way. And she said to him, well, what's the deal? I don't want to be sort of dating a guy that's traveling around the world, this, that and the other. I said, look, this is me, this is what I do. I want to finish what I started, and to finish what I started, I need to do Africa, and I need to do Africa properly. And she said, well, what's it take? And I sat there and I thought, I could lie to her and I could say 6 months. But I better start this relationship as I mean to go on, not like some of the others. And so I just said, a year. I need a year to do Africa. and I'm going to do it properly. I'm going to finish my video series, and I'd like you to come and see me at various places throughout.
Yeah.
And she said every 3 months, and I said done. And she said, okay, crack on. And you know, even now, like, you know, that's 2018. And even now in 2021, just last week, I mean, we're just a few mates and me were just talking about Dakar and stuff because it was Dakar time, you know. And, you know, watching Dakar, I'm like, yeah, kind of do miss it because I love that adventure. And, you know, I've got the ability to do it. I've got the bikes to do it. And I just love it. And I just floated the idea to her, just sat over the table. I was just like, yeah, how would you feel if I was to say I'd go do another Dakar rally? And before I'd even finished the sentence, she just said, awesome, when you in Saudi? And I was like, yeah. She's like, of course, you should definitely do it. And I was just like, wow.
Shit, I've got to do it now.
that is why I love that woman, you know.
Brilliant.
So, yeah.
Happy days. Well, I mean, we could sit here and chat forever, pal, but how about we crack on and work our way through questions, because they will no doubt cover a load of stuff that I want to cover and no doubt you want to chat about.
For sure. Yeah.
Cool.
I didn't answer your question about your podcast, but I'd actually heard of you before and seen a few bits on social media, but never thought. Never really looked into it, and to be honest, I don't watch much on social media. I don't have time. But it was when Dario went on the show that I listened to the whole thing in my workshop while I was working, and he'd already been in touch to say you need to go on the show. So I listened to that one, and then after that one, I kind of started following and listening to more, and I get it, you know.
Oh, cool.
And
nice one.
It's cool, and it actually kick-started me into doing my own podcast series.
I've seen you started one.
There's a load of people that I want to talk to, and there's a load of people that people ask me about that maybe didn't get much of a viewing in my video series for whatever reason, and people ask about them, and I think, hey, let's get them back on, you know. It's I think it's going to be real cool as a follow-on. So it was a great idea, and you getting Dario on the show really kind of helped to cement it, really.
Awesome. He's a cracking geezer, isn't he, Dario? He's a fun guy.
Yeah, but you know the story about how it came about with him. Like, you know, I was let down. It was last minute. And I had to find a completely new, like, creative videographer / editor in like 3 weeks. And this guy just put me onto him, and we had a chat on the phone, and within an hour, I knew it was him. It was crazy. Yeah. And since we've done all these projects, and now he's a really good mate. He really is. Like, I only talked to him yesterday, you know. It's like,
did you?
We're always, just getting ideas and doing things, and he does some editing for me and bits and pieces. So yeah.
Life is weird, man, isn't it? And I think when you travel the way that you've travelled, you sort of realise it, that life just it's just got a way of throwing you these options, hasn't it? It's just these opportunities, and it's up to you if you want to grab them and what you want to make of them. And it just seems to be what's meant for you. Well, it's a Scottish saying, what's meant for you won't go by you. And it's sort of true, isn't it?
It is so true. And also, like, you know, if you push yourself to achieve the things you want to do. So if you want, never ever say, oh, I'll never be able to afford that, or I'll never be able to do that. And never say that. The universe listens to you. Like, you have to be positive. And if you want to do something, you've got to make it happen. Nobody's going to come and hand it to you on a plate. If you want to buy a new bike, you make it happen. Earn the money. Find a way to get the money. You know, if you've just got to do it. And I tell you, once you start doing those things and being positive, the universe opens up to you. And
absolutely,
people see how positive you are, and they want to help you, and it rubs off on other people. And it's like now, like, so many opportunities. It's absolutely crazy. I get emails every day to do things, and it's crazy. Yeah.
There's literally, well, there's two certainties in life, isn't there? There's death, and you not achieving something if you decide that isn't going to happen. Yeah. That's it. Everything else is down to you.
Taxes.
Oh God, yeah, taxes. Just had that. I've just submitted my taxes.
You know, you asked for this podcast 2 days before the tax returns are due in the UK. I'm like, good job. I did the same. I only just got it finished.
Mate, I have this is my first proper year of being self-employed and doing it all, and I didn't even know it was tomorrow. I didn't even know tomorrow was a deadline. I've got an accountant now, and a couple of weeks ago he started on the phone, and I was like, oh, okay, thinking, we've got till April, don't we? We're all right, we're well ahead. And then I think it was yesterday, he was like, this has to be submitted on Friday, don't you? I was like, this Friday? Like, oops.
Yeah, I know. And
so it was a late night last night, got everything done.
Yeah, I'm without an accountant, I'd be screwed, because I have zero interest in all that stuff. I just want to get on with my life. And it's like business there, self-employed, money here, doing this, doing that. It's just like carnage for me. I'm just like, fix it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. They are worth their weight in gold, aren't they, accountants? They just let them work their magic, and and hopefully you don't get too big a bill.
Well, the thing is, they pay for themselves. If you get a big bill, usually it's because they've saved you a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's what I find anyway. Seems to be related.
And that's all that needs to be said about that.
Seems to be related. Right, let's move on. Just in case my accountants are listening.
Yeah, I know. Taxman's listening. Yeah. Oh, no. Right, so first off, we'll head to my Patreon, down to the clan, and we'll start working our way through those questions. That's patreon.com/TeapotOne. Yeah. First one we have here, Paul Soares. Excellent guest. Wow. Lyndon, I've followed most, if not all, of your videos. What are your plans for the next few seasons? And will you finally be the one? Will you finally be the one to make Bruce admit he actually loves off-roading?
Well, we can give that a go. The last one. It's okay. First of all, I'll answer the first part of the question. For the next few seasons. So, 2020 was obviously a bit of a disaster with everything getting cancelled. Including some events that we were doing, big events, and it really was not a year to remember. And 2021 is heading off to a little bit of a similar start, unfortunately. But there's a lot of things in the pipeline. So from a racing point of view, first, Erzberg has always been on my cards, since I did it on the rally bike in 2017, and then I went back on the electric bikes, and some bugger stole my bikes on the way to the race and didn't manage to do it then. And now I've finally got a 300 two-stroke, and I'm definitely going to do it on a two-stroke next time. So the plan was to do it 2020, that didn't happen, so it'll probably be 2021, and if that's cancelled, it'll be 2022. So Erzberg, and also I'm really enjoying the Extreme Enduro, because even in lockdown, when we're not allowed out of our community or area, I can still train Extreme Enduro. Whereas rally riding, I need to go further afield, so it's been a little bit challenging to get out on the rally bike. But I'm wanting to do Romaniacs, Red Bull Romaniacs, and I think people will like to see that, because it's a little bit like a rally but slower and more technical, so it should be cool. And next January I might do a race. We'll see.
Which one's that?
We'll see. Well, I need to work on a project first. So that's the racing. From travelling point of view, definitely. 2021, got a decent project teed up with Matt Sutherland. So the guy that was my teammate at Africa Race. Absolutely like a bloke. He's so freaking funny guy, man. Isn't he? Man, like so funny. Like I'm gonna send you a photo to put in the presentation that I've got of him. A couple actually, just for fun, because the guy cracks me up. So I put it to him that we should do an adventure ride together and film it, self-film it, and do a little mini series. So we're doing it in Canada.
Awesome.
So we're going to do it in Canada in 2021, fingers crossed, and we're also going to do some come ride with us at the same time. So we're going to get people to come over and ride with us as well. So that's going to be a couple of weeks sometime, well, a couple of weeks for our ride, maybe 3 weeks for our ride, and then a week for people to come and join us and ride with us. So that's the plan for like adventure riding, because at the moment with the current situation it's a little bit difficult doing anything too big. But certainly in the future there's definitely some more long distance stuff in the pipeline. So got a few ideas with that. So yeah. But it's not going to stop. There's going to be quite a bit going on. So.
There you go. It's hard trying to plan. Sorry, go on.
Second part of the question was
about taking me off road, but he also said, "Will you ever do the Dakar again?" But you've already said
possibly.
You've already mentioned that. Possibly.
Yeah.
Would you do the Mali class, or would you go for full support?
No, I don't think I'd ever go to Dakar with full support, just because of the sheer expense involved. I think I'd probably do Malimoto, because it's more of a challenge, and it'd be like, going and doing it as a team. In a team would be like going backwards from doing Malimoto. The reason that it wasn't going backwards and it was pushing forwards when I did Africa race was the fact that I was actually team manager, rider, and everything all at this. So it made it really, really challenging, which was great. But I think just to go and do it in a team would be a little bit boring now. So yeah, I would go back to Dakar Malimoto, and a little bit of a dream of mine would be, it's always super stressful and super like concentrating on filming and getting everything right in the right place, and it's so much work. I would love to just go to Dakar, a sponsor to come along and say, here's, I don't know, 30,000 euros, 40,000 euros, go and do it, Malimoto, but just go and do it. Don't do anything else. Just go and ride the race, because I think I'd really enjoy just being able to do it without all the stress and pressure of the media and stuff. So that's one thing that I think I would love to do. I've never had the chance to do that in the 4 that I've done it, because of my media and everything that I've done. But likewise, I know that the social media is what develops sponsorships and gets you that funding.
Absolutely.
So it's a catch-22. You want to do it without, but so does everybody. Everyone wants someone to come along and give them money, but that doesn't happen unless you put something into it. And usually for me, that means doing some media. So yeah, but I think it would be Malimoto if I went back. If
anyone that's listening that doesn't know or appreciate what we're talking about with Malimoto there, with the Dakar on the motorbikes, you have 2 classes. You've got like the full support Dakar class, which is you have the rider, and then there's a squad of mechanics with a support vehicle, and the rider finishes the stage, and then literally it's over to the mechanics. They get the bike prepped for the next stage, and the rider sorts out routes and feed and sleep, rest. The Malimoto is like it's like the original one, isn't it? Yeah. It's literally the rider, the bike. You get a
box.
You imagine a box, just like a big toolbox. Everything has to go into that, and that box is then taken from stage to stage to stage by like a support crew. Yeah. So when the rider finishes the stage and you get to the end of that stage, you're not allowed any help. So you then have to fix the bike, prepare it for the next stage, deal with any technical issues that you have, prep the bike ready for the next one. Absolutely, yeah. And sometimes, there was, the first time you did that, there was times where you had no sleep, wasn't there? You're literally working all night.
It was a disaster in 2017. Well, I say it was a disaster. It made a great movie, which is what counts. But the reason it made such a great movie was the emotions involved. It was so challenging. I just didn't play it cool, if you know what I mean. I tried to do too many things. I talked to everybody. I wasted time, and I learned so much. I was like a sponge. I just absorbed it all. And when I came back from Dakar 17, I knew what I did wrong, and that's why I went back in 2018, because I just said, I know where I went wrong, and I know I can do a lot better.
The difference in get yourselves onto Lyndon's channel, folks, and watch that 2017 and then watch the 2000, because I was watching the 2018 series and it was like, this looks fairly easy. You're smashing this.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
It's deceiving.
It's like you almost forget. You forget how hard that event must be to do.
I know, and people have come to me. People have actually gone to Dakar after watching my series.
No.
Yeah, they have. People have actually got an entry and made it way and gone to Dakar, and then just either crashed out, unfortunately, or didn't make it, got exhausted. It is brutal. You cannot. It's the hardest motorsport. They say it's the hardest motorsport event in the world. It's the most brutal thing. And in South America, it was some of the terrain they put us through. It was just like, hello, this is a rally bike.
Absolutely phenomenal. When you start appreciating what speed you lads are doing and lassies are doing, you're doing over 100 miles an hour over some of this
Yeah.
Like deep sand and off-road like rock sections. You're like, that's insane.
Yeah,
there's me worried about going down a little goat track.
Yeah, and the thing is, at those speeds, Bruce, you can one little thing, 1 5-inch rock that you didn't see, or it's over. You've got to be so focused all the time, and it's really hard when you're riding 10 and 12 hours a day, working into the night, fixing your bike and everything. But you know, in some respects, the new rules now. There's a new rule now where you don't get the road book. You used to get the road book as soon as you arrived at the bivouac, and then you had all night to prepare your bike and mark the road book and everything. That's gone now. The road book comes to you in the morning just before the stage.
Jesus.
So I used to spend between 2 and 3, sometimes 3.5 hours marking the road book. So that's gone now. So actually, Malimoto in theory should be a little bit easier because you don't have to mark your road book anymore. It's all pre-marked. So but
then you're riding blind, aren't you? You've got no preparation as to what's coming.
But really, the stages are so long. You are riding blind anyway. You remember the first few bits, so you remember some sections, but so really, it's like it's actually a good thing, I think. So we'll have to see.
Well, you'll find out by the sounds of it.
Yeah, if I go back, I'll find out.
It's happening. It's happening. Next question, Matt Sheen. Lyndon, firstly, thank you for all your content. Your Dakar series and Africa Eco Race series really open up the races and give us fans a much better insight than we get through Eurosport coverage. My question is simple. I think we've covered this. What are the racing plans for 21-22?
Yeah, covered
we
that.
kind of covered that, haven't we? Yeah. I think I tend not to pre-read any of the questions.
Don't worry, just go through them, it's fine, yeah.
So there might be quite a few that have been repeated. Next one, Paul Simpson, Simo. Hi Lyndon, cast your mind back to the Africa Eco Race and Paolo Lucci illegal tyre incident. Did he ever apologise to you? Have you spoken since? And did you ever find out who deliberately punctured the team vehicle's tyre and tamper with your engine serial number? That was some drama, man.
Yeah, it was hectic, and there was a lot of there was a lot of frustration and a lot of venting and a lot of stuff that went on at that race, which, for the sport, for me, I really didn't like seeing it, and, a lot of people messaging me and saying, you should have kept quiet about it, but that's not, this is at the front of, people, we spend tens of thousands of euros to go racing, and you're racing for a spot on the podium. Things like that don't just go away. They don't just get swept under the carpet, If it was the other way around, for sure, someone else would have done the same with me. So it was just the rules. And no, I haven't even spoke to him since then. It was actually pretty quiet. He himself was actually really quiet at first he was angry and everything with what happened, and it was his team that made the mistake, and I think that showed because his team manager was the one that was he was the one that was throwing punches, and it was out of hand. It was really crazy, and then obviously my engine got tampered with, and then the support vehicle got his tyre drilled, and it just got out of hand. It was crazy, and really I don't like to see that sort of thing at races like this. It should never happen, but it happens. I'm sure it happens in the best sport. We've heard of Ricky Babbitt getting his suspension tampered with at Dakar, and things happen, but I always just say I hold my head up high. I follow the rules. I do everything as I should do. I'm a legitimate competitor, and I don't need to cheat. So that's it. So no apology.
Folks, if you don't know what we're chatting about here, head to Lyndon's channel and look for the African Eco Race. Was that 2018, 19?
2020. Yeah.
Was it 2020? Was it?
Yeah.
I remember I was watching that. That's right. I was watching it in and out of work.
It's called the Race to Dakar on YouTube. So,
get yourself on there, and it's right near the end, isn't it? Is it the last episode?
It's second to last episode. Yeah. But it's a great insight. It's a great insight to exactly what happens at these events. These things happen, and it's a competition, and everybody's trying to get that little bit here and there, and that's what happens. So.
Yeah. it's a competition that attracts incredibly competitive people who there's a lot of money and a lot of passion involved, isn't there? These things happen, don't they? Yeah. Oh, I've seen who the next question is. Pete English. Now, Pete has a bit of a reputation for his questions, so let's see.
Yes,
let's see what
bring
we get
it,
here.
Pete. Come on.
Hi guys, hope you're both fitting well. I love the Races to Places series. Question 1. If someone gave you a box full of...
Are you still there, Bruce? Okay.
Convenient. You'll not get away with this. Question 1. If someone gave you a box full of every single item you'd ever lost, what would be the first thing that you'd search for? Oh, wow.
Every single item that I'd ever lost?
That you've ever lost, yeah. Jeez.
I tell you what, I lose a lot more things now than I did 5 years ago. I don't know if it's an age thing, but my gosh, I can't find anything.
You've probably got a lot more now.
Yeah. I lost. He means lost as in I lost it, not as in it's gone and I would get it back, because there's a lot of things that I've sold that I wish I didn't sell. I think he means lost, yeah.
I think he does, but we can
flex the answer a little bit.
That's it, yeah.
Okay.
Bend the rules a little bit.
The one thing that I wish I'd never have sold, like my very first motorcycle, TY175. My dad lovingly restored it. It was a beautiful bike. It was so unique and different to any other. And I just wish I had access to it. I wish I knew who had it in the UK, and because I'd love to get it back, That's one thing that I'd love back. But with regards to what I've lost, let me have a quick think about that. What did I was thinking of something the other day, actually. What did I lose? Yeah, I can't think, but there's some pretty big things that I've lost.
I'm frantically racking my brains.
Yeah, I'm racking my brain now, and it's like, that there is that thing that's gone that you wish hadn't gone, but I just can't think of it. And that's really crazy, because what it means is actually probably wasn't that important anyway.
Yeah.
But
do you find? I tend to find that I find something, I see something, and I'm like, what's that? Oh, I don't need that, and you chuck it, and then literally like a week later, it's like, oh shit, where did I put that thing? And it's like, I've just put it in the bin, it's gone.
I did it the other day, right? I found a piece of plastic. I found this plastic thing on the floor in the workshop, and I was like, geez, somebody's thrown something on the floor, And I picked it up and I looked at it and I thought, it looks like it's off something. And I looked around and thought, and I looked in my van and I was like, is it off the toolbox? And I looked quickly, I was like, nah, they're all on there. Chucked it in the bin. Next time I went in my toolbox, pulled the drawer out, snagged my leg on the end of the drawer, and I was like, that's right.
That's what that's for.
Went to the bin and I'd already emptied it. So I was like, damn. So if I think of what it is I lost throughout this podcast, I'll bring it up again. Okay.
Right, you're on. And when you were talking about your first ever bike, what was it? When was it sold? Because you never know. This thing might reach places people might know.
It was I'm going to send you a picture, Bruce, to put on your thing, right? But it was a TY175. It was very different because they always had a silver frame, and my dad painted the frame red, which a lot of people have done since, But it was a red frame, and there's certain things, like it had a red seat which my dad had made for it, and it had a red piping on it, which was cool, and there's a few other little features which hopefully are still on it to try and identify it, but I'll post a picture up of me when I was 10 years old.
When was it?
When
did you sell that?
I was 10 years old, so it'll have been 88 when I got it, and then I sold it in like 92 something, 91, something like that.
Okay, so I'll put the picture of the bike up now.
Yeah.
If you bought this bike or you know what happened to it, drop us a line, either to me or to Lyndon on his website, LyndON PoskITt Racing, or go through social media. I'll leave all links in the show notes, all right?
Yeah.
You never know, we might find it.
Imagine if I found that bike because I was on your show. I would so buy it.
That'd be mega, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Right, next question from Pete English. He's got 2 here. Question 2. This pandemic has affected us all, especially all of us that love to travel. How do you see overland travel being affected in the future?
Well, I think ultimately, being the Poskitive person that I am,
see what you did.
Things are going to get back to normal. you know, and when I say normal, the new norm might be a little bit different, but things are going to get back to where they were one day. I mean, it's not the first time. It's not the first time we've had a pandemic, you know, in the world, and it will go back to where it was, but it's going to take some time. And the biggest thing is the borders. You know, borders. You can't travel across borders, and that makes it really difficult to do like world travel and the stuff that we do. So, I think, short term, for sure, I think another year, it's still going to be complicated. But ultimately, I think give it 2 to 3 years, it's going to be back where it was, and everything's going to be open again, and people will be allowed to travel again. Is what I think. You know. Yeah,
100%. Totally agree with you there. Yeah. Short term, yes, it is going to be a bit iffy, isn't it? Crossing borders, countries are going to be nervous, they're going to be suspicious. It's going to be like that.
Yeah, but everyone's going to be taking care of themselves. Yeah, got to look after their own country. So,
and I think like the actual travel itself, you know what it's like when you're overland traveling. You meet people and people open up their lives and their homes to you. I don't think that'll change because the type of person that travels like that, and the type of person that contacts a random stranger and says, "Come into my house, meet my family." They're
still going to do that.
I think it'll still be there.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Colonel Bullen. Wow, what a guest. Well done, Bruce. I'm a big Lyndon fan. Excellent. Well, I hope you're enjoying this one, Colonel.
Thanks.
Lyndon, what do you think about South Africa as a country and the people living there? Do you and Joey Evans still keep in touch?
Yeah, me and Joey are starting with the second bit. Myself and Joey are really good friends. I mean, honestly, I'd go, you know when you're a kid and you have a best friend? Joey's that guy. Like he, you know, we talk all the time. I just messaged him today. You know, I spoke to him a couple of days ago. We're always in touch, and we have so much in common with all the things that we've done, and I have so much respect for what he's done, what he's achieved. And you know, if you haven't read his book, From Power to Dakar, you need to get on my website and get yourself a copy because
I didn't even know you'd done one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You need. Wow. Yeah. I'll send you a copy, Bruce. You should definitely read his book. Yeah. And after you've read his book, get him on the show. Yeah.
Absolutely. Definitely. Joey, I'm up for it, mate. If you're listening.
Yeah. So lekker in South Africa means really good. Yeah. And he is a lekker bloke. Like he is. Right, nice. You need to get him on. He's funny as well. So yeah, what do I think of South Africa as a country? So I loved South Africa, you know, traveling in South Africa was awesome. But the thing, I'm saying but, and that kind of holds back on it. South Africa is like two countries to me. There's the traditional Afrikaans kind of, I don't want to say anything out of turn, so I'm just thinking about what I say. There's two different kinds of people. There's the people that they live in like favelas and you know the lower class people that are struggling day to day, and there's a lot of crime and there's a lot of serious crime like shooting and murders and theft and stuff like that in South Africa. But also for the regular working person, you know, like myself and Joey and everyone and that crowd in South Africa, they are amazing people, like really, really great people. So, I mean, I know in every country you get like a little bit of everything, you know?
Yeah.
But usually there's like there's more people like this than the other bits, you know? And there it seems like there's two halves, you know, there's one half and there's the other half. So you have to really have your wits about you when you're traveling in South Africa. And I always thought like, wow, you really like, and Joey will back me up on this, you have to be careful because you never know in South Africa when your time's up. Like, you know, you sat at a traffic light, someone opens the door and shoots you and take your car. That's what it's like. And that's real. But that said, I would always say, like, don't let that put you off going to South Africa. You know, don't let it put you off travel. So many people say to me, oh, you know, isn't it dangerous doing that? Isn't it this and isn't it that? Yes, it is. But life, you're here for a defined period of time. Like, make the most of it, get the most memories out of it, meet the most people you can. And if your time's up, your time's up. Like,
it doesn't matter where you are.
No point sitting in your living room all the time thinking, oh, I'm glad I'm 85, I've never been anywhere, but I'm alive, it's great. That's no good. Like, what good is that? And I think about me, you know, if I have kids and like, I want to tell the kids things. I want to show the kids things. I want to make them like, you know, see the world. Like, you know, I'd almost rather, if I have kids, it'd be like, come with me. I'm going to teach you what you need to know, you know? Like,
definitely. I totally get you. I don't know if you know too much about like the background to me and my channel, but
you're in the police force, right? Is that right?
I used to be, yeah.
Okay.
But the whole teapot, the whole round the world trip, for me, that all came about because something my mum said before my mum passed away from cancer, sadly.
Sorry.
And something she said to me, you know, in the last few months was, I was moaning about, I was watching Long Way Round, funnily enough, on the TV, and I was moaning, saying, oh, it's all right for them, you know, celebs, all that money, blah, 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 blah. I didn't even ride a bike at this point. And my mum just said, you know, you've always spoke about riding a bike, you've always spoken about doing a big trip like that. She said, don't get to my stage where you're near the end and you regret what you've not done.
Yeah.
You know, we only get one chance that we know of. Look after those that you love, but live your life. And boom, that was it. World changed. I can
absolutely relate to it. The bike that I ride around the world, I named it after my granddad Basil. And, you know, he passed away, I think it was about 10 years ago now, roughly. And I was really close to my granddad, loved him lots. You know, he used to build things in his garage with me, and you know, I always kept in touch. And even when he got sick and he couldn't walk very well, and I'd go pick him up in my car, and he'd let me drive his car, and we'd go out together. And I named the bike after him. But I remember when he got sick, I was working away in France in Toulouse, and I knew he wasn't very well, and I flew home and went to see him. And I remember him. He just kind of whispered the similar thing. Like, you know, you'll only ever regret the things that you didn't do. That was
Absolutely.
And then, you know, he passed away when I was back in Toulouse, but it always resonated with me. And I think all those little things, like, they just chink away at you, you know, get into you. And eventually you realise, yes. And then I look at my life now, and I look at where I am now, and I'm like, I just wish I'd have done it sooner. Like, I just wish I'd have made the move sooner. But the whole life at BAE Systems also made me the person that I am. You know,
absolutely.
So I don't regret doing it. You don't regret the things you do, even if you fail. It doesn't matter. You'll
always learn from it.
Yeah, you will only regret the things you don't do, or the things that you say I can't do. If you go and do it and fail, it's fine. You just learn from it and move on, you know? So yeah, dead right. Yeah.
Absolutely. You hear this time and time and time again. I've had lots of guests on here who have done like world trips and amazing things, and everybody always seems to have a catalyst. I'm so jealous of you're eating that cheesecake. Everyone seems to have just that one thing.
Like, no, I'm not going to eat it because it's going to make him jealous, and everybody else watching. But actually, it's so good.
I need to lose some timber, so no worries. Everyone seems to have that catalyst, whatever it is, that kickstarts them and just sends them on the journey. And it can be anything. And people can be going down one course in life, and all of a sudden something happens, and bang, they just take a different course in life, and off they go. And as you said, no one ever regrets it.
No. My catalyst was my accident. You know, even though my grandfather said that to me, and it kind of nibbled a little bit at me, the actual catalyst was when I was in hospital after my accident, because I nearly lost my life. What was the accident? I've only seen it's like an incident, a training incident. Yeah, I went to a half marathon. I was training for Romaniacs, and I used to work with a guy at work called Paul, and he had run the London Marathon about 9 or 10 times, and he went running every lunchtime, and I knew I needed to train, but I never had time. So I cycled to work to sort of save having to do anything else. I needed to get there anyway. So I started cycling about 30 miles a day, every day, regardless of the weather, ice and snow and everything. And then one day he was going running at lunchtime, and he said, "Come with me." And so I went with him, and he absolutely beasted me, and I thought, this is good, you know. And he said, look, when's the Maniacs? And I said, oh, it's in like 3 months' time. He said, well, let's train, and let's do a half marathon together just before the race. And I was like, that's a good idea, because it'll motivate me to train. So we did. We trained. And then when it came to race day, well, then he really put the hammer down. And I thought, there's no way I'm letting him get away. So I chased him, but it was going way too fast. And when you overwork yourself to extremes, like when your body says, you need to stop now, Lyndon, and take a break, and you just mentally go, like, excuse my French, F off, I'm carrying on, you know? And I could see his T-shirt, and I was like, fixated. I'm like, do not let it get out of your sight. Just keep pushing. And I felt ill. And I was like, what is going on? And I remember tripping over a curbstone, and then I just don't remember anything else. Boom, I'd gone. Like, yeah.
Wow.
And I was gone, like, for a while. And
as in, like, stop breathing gone?
I have no idea. What actually happened is when you look at my heart rate trace, because I had a heart rate monitor on, it basically went boom up to crazy speeds, you know, like, I don't know, 200 or something. It was crazy. And then it just stopped altogether. Like, then came back again, and then it got taken off. So like, I don't have any more, but they thought I had a heart attack. It was crazy. I was in hospital, and I was rough as heck for like 9 days. And they had poison, like, toxic levels in my blood, which would indicate a heart attack, but there was no evidence of a heart attack. And eventually they just put it down to extreme exertion, and it happens occasionally, you know, with people that do extreme sports. And I learned a lesson from it, and they told me never to do anything strenuous again, the NHS. They said,
so you obviously listened then, didn't you?
You need to take it easy now. Well, I was like, what the heck's that all about? So I got on the phone to my mate who I used to live next door and said, he was an anaesthetist, but he was a GP as well, and he used to do he knew the guys that did the training for, like, the Manchester United, Manchester City football teams and the tests and everything. And he said, send him down, I'll do some tests. And he had me on the freaking full cycling with the mask on, you know. And then after I'd done it all, he was just like, there's your tick in the box, crack on with life, you know. So I did. Went and did a load more racing.
Well, I've always said it, Lyndon, and I think you just proved it. Running is bollocks. There you go.
I still do it now. I don't enjoy it, but it is definitely it's the fastest way to lose weight and do it quickly and conveniently. You put your trainers on, no excuses, boom. I've got mountain bikes and all sorts, but sometimes it's like 7:30 at night, and I'm just like, I'll go for a 30-minute run just because it makes you feel better. And as hard as it is, everyone, I'm telling you, it feels great when you've done it. So
yeah, absolutely.
I saw a video actually of you rowing in the garage the other day. Yeah. How's it going?
I'm enjoying it. I'm genuinely enjoying it. You know, I used to exercise regularly years ago. I played rugby to a good level. I used to train in the gym. My old job in the police was very physical. We used to get paid to train 2 hours a day. You know, that was good. And then I sort of got into my 40s, and it was just like, and I stopped training. And over the last 3-4 years, I've really piled the beef on. And I suddenly caught sight of myself in one of my recent vids, sort of November, December time, and I was like, you are a fat bastard. It's like, wow, you have piled on some weight. And it was just like a switch went off in my head, and I think it was the 28th of December, my neighbours gave me their old rowing machine. So I was like, right, I've got no excuse, get on it. And I just started, and I thought I'll use social media to make myself accountable and force me out there. So that's what every day on my...
Rowing's great because there's no impact involved, so it doesn't knacker your joints up or anything. It's not, you're not going to fall off your bicycle, you know.
Yeah,
it's actually really
like
good.
20 and a half stone. I'm 20 and a half stone. I'm 44 years of age. My knees and my hips are knackered, and I thought, if I go out running, I will lose weight, but I'm going to be in pieces, and I'm not going to want to go running because I'm going to be in pieces. I thought, right, let's row. And now I started rowing. I'm like, I'm watching that Talisker Atlantic crossing thing that they're doing at the moment, you know, with like Canaries to Antigua, and I'm like, That's an adventure. That's a challenge. You know, it's like all these ideas going off.
I wonder how many kilometres rowing this is.
Jesus, don't worry about that. Don't worry about it. Right, we went off on one there. Are you okay for time?
I'm all good, yeah. I'm enjoying it. Let's just keep going.
Cracking. Camilla will get a taxi and then that'll be you in the bad books
I'll
forever.
just tell her, yeah, you need to get an Uber, babe. You need to get an Uber home.
Next one, Stephen Gibbons. Hi to both. You're both keeping... Oh, sorry. Hi to both. Hope you're both keeping well and safe. Of all the bikes you've ridden and owned and the technology that are on them, what types of technology or equipment would you like to see on future bikes? And also, what current technology and equipment would you want removed?
Yeah, it's interesting.
Okay.
For me, like I've ridden the new 1290. And
I've seen.
Yeah, and the new 1290 Adventure as well. That's 2021, and you know they are awesome bikes. They are awesome bikes, and you know what? I wouldn't want to ride it without the electronics. Like literally, I'd be dead. I would.
That Super Duke R is phenomenal, isn't it? But when I rode it, I thought, because you can switch everything off, and I just thought, I couldn't ride this bike.
Honestly, anyone that turns it off intentionally to see what it's like, you're going to crash. Like, I'm not joking. Like, I'm a good rider, and a few times I've done it on the track, especially when I've turned it down a bit much, and you have got to respect them. And in some respects, I hated it at first, but I'm warming to the fact that actually those aids are required. You know, these bikes need them, and especially for the majority of folk, because I'm a competent rider. But if somebody like just passes the bike test and full test and goes out and buys an S1000 or a Super Duke R, and it didn't have electronics, I'm sorry, but it's a recipe for disaster. And I think so. I'm warming to the electronics, but what I also don't like is the fact that it's like a race to have as much electronics on the bikes as you can get, and BMW put this on, and then Bosch developed the forward radar so that it automatically brakes and stuff. I mean, it's just that sort of stuff is just like, let us ride the bike, you know.
Absolutely.
Like I know it's a safety feature, right, and I can see the benefits of it, but sometimes it runs ahead too far, you know, and that's how I feel about it. But you know, something like that, I probably wouldn't turn it off. You know, I'd just leave it on because it's there for a reason. And
a lot of these new bikes, they are so good, and the technology's all there, isn't it? That you get on these bikes that, like the Super Duke R, which is an utter animal, but you get on it and you ride it, and it's really placid, and you can toddle along through the town, and you think, this thing's fine. I can control this.
I go to the post office on it. I just commute on it. I just pop around. It's great. It's so comfy and smooth and easy to change gear and everything. I think so. I don't think there is anything that I'd remove off them. There's a few things that I dislike, just like you know, for example, navigation. Right? It's hard to beat Google Maps on your phone. Right? So don't try and build in some fancy navigation system that's like 20% of the job of Google Maps, because it just makes your product look crap. If you're going to do it, just integrate Google Maps into the system or something like that, because some of the bikes I've ridden, the navigation system's crap on it, and you end up either bolting your own Garmin on or using your phone. And I don't get that. I think just do it properly or don't do it at all. So that's one thing that I would remove, is the crap that just doesn't really do any good, you know. And one thing that I would add, I think, is and it's not just bikes but equipment as well. You know, it's different for us because we're bloggers, you know, and we need video and stuff like that. But man, I wish somebody would just come out with an easy system that just, you put your helmet on and it's all pre-wired and connected to the bike, and it records bike sound and helmet sound and voice and video and everything. Please, nobody does it. I've tried so many different systems and it's just a pain in the ass.
What really annoys me is the likes of GoPro, Drift, DJI, with their action cameras that they make. You can't you can't just connect a mic to it anymore. You know, with a 3.5mm jack, you can't. You've got to use all these stupid
the
fucking
GoPro
adapters.
One with that stupid big thing on it. Like, whose idea was that?
I know, and now I've got the GoPro 9 now, so I use the media mod, and you can plug that in the back. But it's still a big old box, isn't it? And you just why can't you just have a camera that you can plug the mic straight in like you used to, and it all worked? Yeah, and things like, you know, when you're using the intercom, I'm off on one now. When you're using the intercom systems, I use the Cardo Pack Talk Bold. But if you want to record the chat amongst everybody, you either have everybody independently mic'd up with a camera and a sound recorder, or you can connect via Bluetooth, or link up another Cardo to a sound recorder. But the audio's shit. Yeah, it's really tinny and crap, isn't it?
Yeah.
Surely there must be a nice, easy way just to connect it all up.
The thing is,
great
it's
sound.
It's a little bit like the adventure bikes. The bike that I built, fantastic bike, so capable, expensive, and the manufacturers are never going to make it because the market for it is small. Even if they sold 2,000 or 3,000, it's too small for a manufacturer to make a series production. And it's the same with this requirement. There's so few people actually want the system that me and you want.
True.
That's why nobody's made it, because everyone wants different things. Everyone wants to have it a different way, and to actually achieve, they'd never sell them all. And I can get it. I can get why it's not there, but that's what I'd like. I'd like that addition.
And they don't want their product working with everyone else's, because they want people to buy their product, don't
exactly,
they? So
that's right,
the Cardos, they want all the Cardos to work so that they can all connect, but only to other Cardos to get you the best audio, Right, come on.
So I think that was a good answer to that one.
Yeah, we had a good little rant there like that. Next one, Mark Fulcher. Evening, gents. Been looking forward to this one ever since you mentioned it. Nice and easy one for you both. What is the best lie that you've ever told and got away with? And also, what is the worst lie that you've ever told and not got away with?
Wow, that's a good one.
Jeez.
Well, I'm not really, I'll be honest, I'm not really into telling lies.
I can't do it.
I'm not saying that I've never told a lie. That's probably not true, but I've probably told what I call white lies, if you know what I mean. Like little pinkies, I'm not one for lying. I don't need to do it, I'm a firm believer in honesty is the best policy,
100%.
So honestly, I'm not saying I've never have, but to mind, nothing jumps out that says, and then what was the second part of the question was, what have you...
What's the worst lie that you've ever told and not got away with? So it's...
And it's hard because I honestly don't think that I tell lies. I can't honestly think that I tell lies. No.
I'm the same as you, man. It's like, for me, integrity is everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
that makes you the
I can't
person
lie.
you are,
I'm shit at lying. Yeah.
Honestly, can't hold my hand up and say that there's anything that is worthy of answering this question, because I don't think I do it. So.
I bet you there's someone out there that either knows you or has dealt with you in the past is screaming, going, "What about this time?"
Oh,
you always get it, don't you?
And you know who it is. It's going to be my mum. My mum is sat watching this now, right? And she's going to be like, "You liar! When you was 16, like I know."
When you were 4, you said that.
Yeah.
Or an ex. That could be awkward.
Yeah. But really, it's disappointing that I can't answer that question. Sorry about that.
I'm the same though. I kind of, integrity's sort of everything really for me. It's like you're measured on what you say and you're measured on what you do. And for me, it's I can't lie. But I'm a shit liar. So there's no point in me lying, because I'll always get found out. And if you get found out, people think you're a mug and they'll never believe you again. So
and one thing I've learned as well, like just coming out and you screwed up. Just tell people you screwed up. Like, you made a mistake, just tell them you made a mistake. People will understand. There's no need to lie about stuff. Like, it's just, it's life. And I think the older you get, obviously when you're young, you don't get it. So when you're young, you lie about stuff to your friends and all sorts of stuff. But I think, you know, I'd learnt pretty quickly when I was a teenager probably, and my mum and dad, they brought me up so well, like a massive credit to them, because they made me the person that I am, you know, and an honest person, a hard-working person, and a motivated person, and that, you know, I do think that's them. I have them to thank for that, them and my work as well. BAE Systems, I worked for aerospace company BAE Systems, and all the people that I worked with there, because I remember in the first few years working for them, I was bricking it to stand up in front of somebody in a presentation, absolutely bricking it. Whereas now I'll stand up in front of 1,000 people, like no problem. And I'll even talk about things I don't understand, because I'll be honest and just say, sorry guys, I don't really understand this, but this is what I think, you know.
Yeah. And I'm interested. I'm interested.
Yeah, and you've learnt to do that. So yeah, I think that's all I can say about that.
I'm with you there. I'm with you. Next one, Stephen Gibbons. This is a nice, easy one. Jaffa cake or biscuit?
What type of biscuit?
What type of biscuit would you take over a Jaffa cake?
Right, so if it was like a homemade cookie, then I'd probably take the cookie. Like choc chip cookie or double chocolate chip, white chocolate chip. You know, I'd definitely take a proper cookie. But if it was a rich tea or a Jaffa...
What's the point in rich tea? My wife loves rich tea biscuits, and I'm like, you're such a boring person.
I don't know. It's like, why do they even?
Why do they exist?
Wait, no, this is even better. Why do they even sell normal digestives when they've got chocolate digestives? Who buys a normal one?
My wife is that person. We were having this chat the other day, actually, about your favourite... I don't remember why it came about, but it was about a favourite biscuit. And she was just lamenting about plain digestives and rich teas. And I was over hobnobs and chocolate digestives and stuff. I'm like, are you smoking crack? What's wrong with you?
And all biscuits are better with chocolate on them. It's simple.
Absolutely. Everything's better with chocolate.
Everything's better with chocolate on it. Yeah.
Right, so now we've sorted that.
Yeah, but
religion.
Jaffa cake sits in the middle for me.
Yeah. Next one, Nick Turnbull. Great guest. Please, can I ask why Lyndon calls his bike Basil? I loved the video on what he did to upgrade his bike. Well, we covered that, didn't we?
Covered that after my late grandfather. Yeah.
So Basil was, I made a note of it here. Basil's a 2007 KTM 690, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
Rally
right.
Factory.
Yeah.
So what did you do to that bike to make it Basil, for anyone that's not watched that vid?
Well, so the story behind that bike, believe it or not, right, I bought it off a guy I can't remember his name, he's got a book out. It might come to me. James, is it Bullock, his surname, or something like that? Anyway, I bought it off him. I think his book is called Life on the Line. I'm just making it up now, but I think his book is called Life on the Line, and he rode a 640 Adventure, I think, around the world or somewhere, and he painted it all matte black, like a rat bike. So things didn't get stolen, even the Scott steering damper. But anyway, he got back and he loved the KTM adventure bike, and he knew that the ultimate adventure bike was the Dakar rally bike, and he bought himself a Dakar rally bike and he used it in the winter in London, and it was all rusty and blah, blah, blah. And I just saw this bike for sale, and I just thought, yeah, you know, I've got a 450 rally and I love it, and that's sort of what I need to do, is build a bigger one, like a big engine in the same chassis. And I figured out the chassis were similar, and so I bought the bike. Eventually, after many discussions, I got the bike off him, and then I just stripped it down, right down to the chassis. Like, that's who I am. I'm an engineer. I just get in there and right down to the chassis, and then started modifying it, changed the frame, put different brackets on it, stiffened it, changed a few features on it, different shock absorber, different forks. Engine evolved over the life of the 5-year trip. I mean, I started with an engine that was, I actually got it from, it wasn't the one that came with the bike, but I just bought an engine that was ready to go, Now, anyone that buys an engine ready to go, not from a reputable engine building company like LyndON PoskITt Racing, you might not actually know what you're getting. But I got lucky; it was okay, and it got me all the way through Russia and to Magadan. By the time I got to Australia, it was tired, and then I upgraded it to a 730cc, and I had a camshaft made for it and a gearbox made and all sorts of stuff, and changed the whole thing. And now, like, we sell the engines for those bikes now, and everything but the crankcases and the cylinder head casting, everything's aftermarket and different.
Is it?
There's like a complete engine rebuild different. So the engine's big change. The fuel tanks are the original rally bike fuel tanks, but from the 450, not from the 690, because they're a little bit slimmer and nicer. Fitted a luggage rack to it. Paint and seat and this and that. Just the list goes on. And I just changed the whole bike basically and custom built it into what I wanted to travel around the world. And it was the most reliable bike I've ever owned. I mean, it's sat there now with. I started it the other day, actually, only about 5 days ago. I thought, you haven't been running for 3 months. Your battery must be nearly flat. Turned the key on and it fired straight up. Like that bike, it literally would run on 60 grade gas. Like that's how good it is, yeah. And it's carburetted, it's really simple, no electronics or anything. And that's what I did to it. Just built this bike, and then it was originally black when I started the trip. And then in 2017, I had a partnership collaboration with Motorex because it was their 100th anniversary. And so they wanted to do something special. So I did the Dakar for them on the Motorex bike. And it just went from there. Now all the whole garage is green,
Yeah. It's a lovely teal, Corp ID you've got. Really nice, nice colours.
It just came about because of Motorex. I used to be like a pale blue is my company colour, but now it's changed. I changed it all. So it's nice. It's cool. So brilliant bike. Swear by it. And honestly, I would jump on that bike tomorrow and ride 5 years around the world again on it. It's absolutely. You can just, and I didn't have one single fuel-related failure other than running out of fuel on my 5 years around the world. Like, I didn't, I had a fuel pump problem, but it didn't stop me. I just managed to carry on until I changed it. So many things that if it was a modern bike with electronics, you'd be screwed, I only got stranded twice, once without a stator and once when my gearbox broke in South Africa. I mean, the engine was locked solid. There was no chance I was going to go anywhere. And that was just a fatigue component failure. Nothing you can do about that.
That's not bad for 5 years and 250,000 kilometres, man.
Exactly. Really, really solid bike.
Yeah. So with your custom build engines that you do now with LyndON PoskITt Racing, so I mean, do you build everything bar those couple of components you chatted about? Do you build everything in house?
No. So we subcontract stuff. So we have Nova Racing make our transmissions for us. We have a clutch as well, a full custom clutch for it, which is heavy duty and more plates and stronger and lighter and etc. And then we've got modified crank and balancers, cylinders and pistons, all modified some modified in the UK, some in-house. My father's got a machine shop, so we do some of it in-house. And then we subcontract things like camshaft manufacture, the complicated bits that you need to have all the gear to do it. But they do them to our specs. And then the heads we modify ourselves. And just any bits and pieces that go into it, we make them ourselves, a lot of them. And then they go together. So the only thing we use is the crankcases and the cylinder head, the casting of the cylinder head with the fixed pieces. Everything else gets modified or changed.
And would you like custom build to order then an engine, or but if somebody came to you and said, right, I want to enter this competition, I want a bike, what do you recommend? Can you build it? Both. Yeah, so our biggest thing that we focus on is the 690. It's the LC4 engine. So from the early 2008 690 Enduro right through to the very latest 2021 Husqvarna, Supermoto, Dukes, all those with the twin balancer engine. We have performance parts for those engines. That's what we've become known for, really. And it all arose from me doing
my own engine on Races to Places, and then people, got a camshaft, and people started asking about the camshaft, and then did the 732 kit, and then developed my own 732 kit, and then people were buying those, and and then the clutch, because the clutch kept going out on, because it was just a crap design, the production clutch. I mean, it's good because it's a light finger pull, but it's not heavy duty, and for what I was doing, racing and all that stuff, it just didn't cut it. So designed a new clutch, and the gearbox wasn't wide enough ratio, so we changed that, and now, at first we just did engine builds, but now we haven't got the capacity to build all the engines for customers, so we do sell parts as well. So we sell parts and kits to upgrade. So you can upgrade your bike to a 732 with a camshaft, but you build it yourself. You just get the parts and you just bolt them in. So yeah, it's just it has made a little business really, which is crazy, out of me building my engine, traveling around the world.
That's mega, man.
We have them on the shelf, so we have the single spark, twin spark and twin balancer engines on the shelf, and we also have built to order. So quite often we get like, well, I've got this bike, but I want this cylinder head with this and that, and then we can build it to order. But a lot of them, stick to the same spec that I've got in my bike, which is the 732 with a wide ratio gearbox and all the gubbings that we sell, and they just take their engine out of the bike, sell it on eBay, and put my engine in. So.
Right, well, folks, if you are looking for competition style engines or bikes, get onto LyndON's site and have a look.
It's funny because you used that word competition, and a lot of people ask me, is it really highly strung and like maintenance intensive because it's tuned for racing? And that's a myth. It's a complete myth. Like if an engine, to some extent, but if an engine is built properly and the components are capable of doing what they're designed to do, it's like my 732 engine with all the modifications and everything that is probably 20% more powerful, 15 to 20% more powerful than the production bike. It's probably more reliable than the production bike engine, because all the little niggles and bits and pieces have been fixed. So as long as you do it right, there's no reason why it won't be reliable. That's what I always tell people. And a lot of people don't get upgraded engines because they think they're going to be unreliable. But I always say, well, my engine's there. It's got 250,000 kilometers on. It's been rebuilt twice, both times preventative, apart from the gearbox failure. And that's it. I mean, not many people do 100,000 kilometers on a single cylinder, so it should be good.
Absolutely. Right, next one. Colin Porteous. Where is Basil Bike now? Did you manage to get him back to the UK? Well, you said that. He's out the back of the house now, isn't he?
Got him back to the UK, and now he's down in Spain with me. So he's down here in the workshop, yeah.
Awesome. Next one, Brian McManus. Hi, gents. Hope you're both well. To both of you, in your round-the-world trips, Lyndon, as Bruce told you about his trip. Thanks, Brian. Cheers. We've seen you on great highs and big lows. What was your biggest low, and what made you dust yourself down and carry on?
Right. So I'll talk a little bit about a couple of things here. So my biggest low actually comes after my world trip, because middle of last year, with this coronavirus and everything, I've never felt as low. Like I was really struggling with a lot of things, which will surprise a lot of people. But I think being honest about it is the best thing. And
absolutely, yeah.
I really was struggling, and I was being miserable to people around me. I was really, look back at it now and I'm just like, what on earth was that about? And I don't know what it was. I don't know whether it was I was just doing too much pressure, put a lot of pressure on myself to do things, and it really does get on top of me. But that was a huge low. But I think he's talking about on my actual trip, and I think and I think well, I haven't really talked about it much, but I think the biggest, it'll come out in my book, all the details, but it happened in Africa, and I don't want to say too much about it, but it was a moment where I honestly thought I was going to be killed, and that to me is like, that was the biggest low, because as a grown man, I cried because I thought it was over, and you know, I've already written all about it for my book, and I think it'll be really cool for people to read it. And everyone's probably thinking, oh, what happened? But I really kind of don't want to spoil it. I think it's something that just randomly happened, wrong place, wrong time. And for whatever reason, I was able to get through it and get out the other side, and I'm glad that I did. And I didn't tell Camilla about it until I actually finished my world trip, because I didn't want to worry about it. But that was the biggest low.
Africa's one of those places, isn't it, where there are so many amazing high. Yeah, that's exactly it. It can be. It's not even like from day to day. It's almost just like minute to minute. You know, you can wake up in a place and everything's fine, but by the time you get on the bike and you start heading off down that street, the whole place can change, can't it? And all of a sudden, it's just the mood changes.
Yeah.
So volatile
it's
in
so
places.
Unpredictable. So many times, sketchy things happened. Sketchy moments happened in Africa. So many times more than on other continents. And it really was the most challenging and probably the most unpredictable continent of races to places. Would I go back there and travel? Damn right I would. Some of the best experiences I've had. You know, riding with the elephants and the giraffes, and running next to a giraffe riding your motorbike. I mean, come on. Where does that happen?
That's what it's all about, isn't it? That's the stuff you dream about. When you think about doing a world trip, that stuff's in your head.
Exactly.
Mate, we just pop for a quick pee break. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Just take a couple of minutes and have a quick natural.
I was just going to say, I'm going to put the light on as well because it's getting a bit dark. Sound.
2 minutes.
All right, I'm back.
No worries. It's terrible that when you need to pee. You know, you start tap dancing, don't you?
The worst thing is I was just about to have a pee and then I was like, oh, my microphone's still on.
I had, I don't know if you've heard of him before, the Missenden Flyer. He's a big UK like moto vlogger. He's got like 190,000 subscribers. He's massive. Well, he came on, he did exactly that. He went for a pee and left his mic on.
Yeah.
So obviously I had to include that. It's got to be done.
Yeah, I was thinking that was a toilet. I was thinking, oh, what can I say now that's going to be funny?
Right, Brian's actually got another question here. Brian McManus, he says, Lyndon, your mate Joey Evans is an inspiration and a legend, but after hitting a cow in the Dakar and a camel in the eco race, what animal do you think is next on his hit list?
Oh, I don't know. Honestly, I don't think any animals are on his hit list. I think he's done with racing, and I'm hoping to get him over here to Spain, because I know that since his accident on Africa Eco Race, he hasn't really ridden a bike.
Has he not?
So no, because he had surgery on his wrist and loads of stuff and a shoulder problem, and it'd be nice to get him back riding again. So.
I mean, the guy's a machine, isn't he? If you don't know, folks, he was racing in the Africa Eco Race, and a camel sort of stepped out in front of him, and he basically T-boned a camel. Yeah. I mean, that was a hell of an impact. Camels are big animals.
He did, and he downed a camel. he downed a camel and finished it off with a rally bike.
Wow.
That's some doing. I mean, everyone says what happened to the camel. It died on the road.
Jesus.
That was a big impact. And he after a hospital visit, dusted himself off and got back on the bike.
Yeah, he did, didn't he?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Honestly, watch that one. Go to Lyndon's YouTube channel. I'll leave a link down below, obviously.
Yeah.
Watch that Africa Eco Race. Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Next one, Nut S. Could you two share which 3 items of equipment which you would not be without on a long race or an adventure trip? So 3 bits of kit that you always have.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll go first because you said both of us, yeah? So 3 bits of kit that I always have. Right. Well, if I'm travelling around the world, or I'm travelling somewhere like Canada or somewhere where it can get cold, my heated base layer is like the go-to. I love that thing, right? I go training I do these rally schools here, and I go out pre-running and it's cold, and I just put that thing on and it's just heaven. It's like, I love that thing. It's battery powered, and it's awesome. That's one thing. Next thing is a Leatherman. never ever ride, or I never ride my mountain bike, I never ride my motorbike, I never go anywhere. Every bike has got a Leatherman on it. After having my Leatherman stolen in Mongolia on my world travel, they're now nicely concealed so you can't see them, because if it's on display then someone's going to half-inch it. And the other thing that I keep on my bikes, well, with Leatherman I would say toolkit. I've always got the right toolkit for what I need. But the other thing which I've never really needed, but I think it's a really good thing, and I think people should think really serious about it, and that's a first aid kit. I don't use it, but that's a good thing, and it's always there. And every single rally bike I've got has got an FIM standard first aid kit, so it's got all the basics that you need to do what you need to do. And I just think, I have used it a couple of times for the eye wash, for example. I got something in my eye and I've got that eye wash out. I'm so thankful that I've got it in there, you know. So I think, you know, first aid kit, heated vest, and Leatherman and tools.
It's interesting you say that about the first aid kit, but I'm exactly the same. I always ride with a rucksack. I've always got a rucksack on, and people are like, why have you got a rucksack with you? Well, I've got a first aid kit in there, just a little one. I think I bought it in Halfords, just a little basic first aid kit. And I've also got because I use road tyres, so they're tubeless, I've always got the plug kit for punctures.
That's why you struggle off-road so much, Bruce. You know, you're supposed to put knobbly tyres on. If you want, I'll get some knobby tyres for your bike, and we can have a go with
it. Thanks. I feel sick at the mere thought. No, I've got to say, the reason I'm not keen on off-road is because I haven't got a Scooby what I'm doing. You know, on the road I feel secure, and I've got a lot of prior experience on the road, so I'm all right with it. I go off-road and I'm just totally out of my comfort zone, and I'm sure if I spent more time doing it, I would. I've done a little bit now, and I start to enjoy it a wee bit.
One thing I will say, and I'll say this to everybody, when you become competent off-road, right, you will be surprised how much more competent you become on the road.
On road.
Not just on a bike, in a car and everything. You feel everything. When you skid, you feel it. When your bike slips, you feel it, and you put it right. Like, you learn so much riding off-road. It really does transition across onto the road stuff for a better rider, safer rider.
It's weird because before I did the world trip, I was always riding my Jigsaw, and I used to love feeling the Jigsaw move. You know, at speed. I couldn't back it into corners or anything silly like that. But I like the feeling of the bike moving underneath me.
I just got a vision then. I just got a picture of, like, you know, those little cartoons that you see. If someone's watching this, right, and they can do those like sketches of cartoon, we need an image of like of Bruce on his teapot, right, or his Suzuki. What was it? 600 GSX-R, 1000.
1000.
Yeah. Backing it in, right? Beard flailing out the side. One hand up, like, that's what we need. We need to put that on the show, so get it in, please.
What I'm most chuffed about on my trip is I got onto the Arctic Circle Raceway in Norway, and I'm on my bike fully kitted up, and I got my knee down in the Arctic Circle on the bike fully kitted up. I was like, yes, got it on video. Happy days. So going back to that question, for me, puncture repair kit, first aid kit, and I mean, I sound a right prick, but my phone. I just have my phone because it's.
Hey, that is true actually. You know, like, I must admit, I don't go anywhere without my phone, so it's got to be a number one thing.
It's everything.
And now, like, new iPhone comes out. I mean, I'm an iPhone fan. New iPhone comes out. Get the latest one, the biggest one. I have all my photos. I have 120,000 photos synced to my phone.
Jesus.
I have everything, all in countries and date order, and I can find any picture from anywhere, like, by just going through, like, and that is a godsend, because the amount of times I get asked, like, hey, how do you do this, or what did you do with that, and I just think, where have I got that photo? Oh yeah, in there, you know.
I think I've got about 8,000 on my phone, but they're in no order whatsoever. It's a nightmare.
It's carnage. You can't find anything. Phone's very important, and you know what, phone's a lifesaver these days as well. I mean, without phones, everyone really should have one.
Yeah, exactly. It's a means of contact. It's your navigation, as you said. It's your camera as well, and it's everything.
The other thing as well, like when I travelled, obviously I travel off-road a lot in remote places, and that's really important to talk about because, like, you know, I actually carried a satellite phone with me, so that because I was on my own. If I fell and broke my leg or my hip or something, I'm not getting out. Like, I'm going to get eaten by a lion if I'm in Africa. So it was important to be able to get my phone out wherever I was and make a call. At least give them my location. I have a chance someone coming to get me. And the other thing was this InReach tracker. You know, the Garmin InReach. I always had that with me and had tracking on it. Even if I had an accident and I weren't able to get to my phone and I was knocked out or something, you know, every couple of days somebody would be looking on my tracker and saying, hey, well, he hasn't moved for 2 days and he's in the middle of nowhere. We need to call the emergency, you know what I mean? So those were important things.
I had a spot tracker on mine, so same thing. You know, if anything did happen, you had like the SOS button that you could hit. It's funny you said there about Africa and, you know, your near-death experience there that you've got in your book. That's where I had. Everyone knows about it. That's where I had a bad time. Mauritania, I got totally done over in Mauritania by the old Bill. Yeah. Rosso, did you go through Rosso, the Rosso border?
No. It's so frustrating though, isn't it? It's so frustrating. Like Egypt, the police in Egypt were doing my head in. Like I just had enough. I just wanted to just tell them all to off. You know, I just had enough.
That's kind of what was happening to me in Mauritania, and a few things led to it, but I ended up getting through and I got to Dakar, and I made the decision to go back to the UK because I was just like, if I make it, I was aiming to head down to South Africa and then back up the east, and by that point I'd been robbed of so much money and I'd had so many near death and then nearly did die, and it was just like I got taken at the border and all sorts, and I just thought, if I do make it to South Africa, I'm not going to have enough money to carry on. So it was like, what's the point? So I ended up making the decision to go back to the UK, go back to work, get some money together, and then head off again. But
so I have a question for you, Bruce. Would you go back to Dakar?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. It's unfinished business, and I want to see that side of Africa. I want to see the elephants. I want to meet the proper Africa. You know, meet the people, and I want to have that African experience. Because at the moment, I've just got that Northwest experience.
I could give you some really solid. I wouldn't call it advice. I just want to help if I can. But if you were to say to me, I've got a month. Right, and I want to see real Africa, I would just say go to Namibia.
Yep.
Namibia it's the least populated country. It's got the most wildlife and it's just spectacular. Like awesome. I mean, it was just amazing. Like I loved it. And if you see the episodes from Namibia, brilliant. Or just do the South Africa region, so Botswana, Zimbabwe, Zambia, South Africa, Mozambique, that sort of area would be my take if I was to go do anything in Africa.
I really want to see Ethiopia as well. You know, I've heard Ethiopia is such a beautiful country.
Ethiopia is like the most mountainous part of Southern Africa, you know. It was really good. But Ethiopia is where I had my moment. So.
Was it? Oh, right. Yeah. I want to go and see. I want to go and see the country, and I want to drink my coffee.
Yeah, you won't be riding where I was. I shouldn't have been riding there either.
I can't wait to read your book now.
Yeah. By the way, everybody, the book is a long way away.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's going to be a slow burn project because I'm so busy doing other stuff. It just gets put on the back burner. I mean, I said to Camilla the other day, really, if we have another lockdown, I'll nail it. But like, with everything else going on, I just love going out on my bike too much. So
yeah. Have you got a publisher lined up, or are you going to self-publish?
No, I think I'm going to self-publish. I chatted to, you know, for me, it's like, I could get a publisher and I could make a great book with them, but at the end of the day, the only reason I'm doing it is to tell my story, how it happened to me. And I'm never going to be a, you know, Ant Middleton with a bestseller, and you know, and when I talk to Joey, you know, Joey's got a bestseller. He's done 10,000 books, but his advice to me was, if he knew what he knew now, he'd have self-published. because you get more profit from the actual book itself if you do it yourself and you sell it yourself. And he said, really, a good 50% of the people that bought his book are people that know him or followed him or heard of him, or he's not the bookshops, so I think I'm torn. If somebody came to me and really knew what they were talking about and sort of encouraged me to go down the editor route, somebody that could help me, like a publisher and everything, do it that way, maybe I would. But at the moment I'm just like, just write it as it happened, as you want to share it, the things you want to tell people, just like I'm talking to you now, real down to earth. This is my book, written by me, for me and everybody that knows me. That's it.
Yeah. That's sort of what I did. Well, that's what I did with mine. I self-published, but part of me does think, if I'd gone down the publisher route, then you have that whole distribution chain, and it just opens up the reach so much more. Because now, like, I paid for X amount of copies to be printed. Well, they're all printed now, and they're sold. But
I think also nowadays with electronics, the way it's going with electronic books and Amazon, I think the reach can be achieved yourself. There's no one really goes into bookstores anymore, So
no, but when I looked at Amazon to are you talking about so Amazon handles everything? You literally upload the digital copy to Amazon and then they print on demand.
That's what I mean.
To do that for my book, my book's got, I think, 20 colour pages in it that have the pictures, and the rest black and white, colour front and back. I think it's like 300, 400 pages. Well, that, believe it or not, to do it via Amazon was going to cost something ridiculous, like $35 a book. And it was just like, and I think I would make about 80p profit out of each book, and I was just like, that doesn't work. So I mean, it might be the way I was doing it, maybe I'm wrong, but have a look at the actual costings involved in that side of it.
For me at the moment, the most important thing is to, I've got 400,000 words. A book's normally about 100,000 words, I think, average, something like that. I've got 400,000 words of diary. Like, I got to get through that first and try and pick the good bits out. And then I got to piece the pieces together that tell the story, because everything ties in together. And it's like, I just need to get that in my own head. Like, somebody else could probably do it if I told them everything, but just to get everything out on the table is going to take a month,
Because you want to tell the whole story, don't you? And you've got all those emotional connections with all these memories that you have. Yeah.
Well,
I know exactly what you're saying.
The bit that happened in Africa, I wrote it the night that it happened. So I went and I got a hotel room, and I wrote and I wrote and I wrote until every single detail was down. Yeah. And I didn't even rewrite it to put it in my book. I just took it and said, that's going in the book. That's what happened. That's how I felt at the time. Yeah. That's what happened.
I'm looking forward to reading it. Right, next one. Johnny Hackinson. We need to keep the level of questions high. On your trip, what was the absolute worst place that you had to relieve yourself?
Jesus. Oh, man. I have no idea.
You must do. Have you not got like that memorable time?
No, I've stayed in some really gross places. I mean, I'll be honest, like in Indonesia,
that's mine.
I'd rather have stayed in a tent than some of the places I stayed. Yeah. I thought it'd be good to, so...
They're horrible, aren't they, some of them?
Yeah. You got to do what you got to do, We're all human.
Exactly. I had a time in Indonesia, as it turns out, I'd caught dengue fever. Well, they think I had dengue fever, so I was feeling horrendous, absolutely horrendous. And it was like 45 degrees, 90-odd% humidity. And I'm riding my bike, and suddenly, when you just get that feeling, and I was like, oh no. And literally, I'm still on the bike, and before I could pull over, I vomited into my lid, and at the same time, followed through the other end.
I've been there, but I was there on a race. I was doing the Mazuga Rally in 2013. And
in Morocco.
I got so sick, and I'd paid all this money to go to race. So I tried to race the stage. So I went for a shit in the morning, and I was like, right, 3 or 4 times, and I was like, ate some breakfast, and all I did is eat dry bread. I was just like, soak it up. Yeah. And I got on the stage, and I started, and that same thing, like, and I was like, and then a real tight, I'm like, oh no. And I carried on, and then I started to feel sick. Same thing. I was literally, what I did is I had to go stop, got off the bike, pants down, didn't even have time, mass liquid shit, like straight out, yeah. And then the smell of it hit me, and the sickness, and I was just barfed in my helmet at the same time. And I was just like, this is not happening.
World travel, kids, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Brilliant. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Next one, Robert Forster. I'll try this question again as I was too late the last time. Cheers, Robert. Would you Would you prefer to stand with your back to a wall facing me, or rather I just sneak up behind without you knowing it? That's a bit creepy, Robert. Jeez.
Hang on. Wow. What's he asking?
Would you prefer to stand with your back to a wall facing me, or rather he just sneaks up behind you without you knowing it? Well, I'm a back to the wall
facing. Yeah.
I always sit.
Coming.
Yeah, I'm the same. I always like to sit and see who's around me. Definitely.
Yeah.
I like surprises, but not like that.
That's a creepy question.
It is a bit, isn't it? Yeah. David Hemmings, to you both, what do you like to do in your downtime? Jesus, do you have any downtime?
Jesus, what's downtime? Ask him to explain that. Well, Camilla's really like, she tries to make me make downtime, and I never got it. I used to get angry when I she's like, let's go down the beach, and I'd be like, okay, we'll go down the beach, and then I'd just be like a bear with a sore head, and she just ended up saying to me,
you're thinking, I've got stuff to do. I've got stuff to do.
Get on your bike and go home. Like, you're no good here to me. I'm like, okay. And that's literally what it was like. Now I'm learning that actually I need downtime. Yeah. I need it. And I never watched movies, but I now sit downstairs with the girls and watch a movie, because I realised that just turn off, man. Leave your phone upstairs and go watch a movie. And it helps. So, yeah.
Wow, we seem to have a lot of similarities here, except I'm shit off-road and nothing like you. But I'm exactly the same, man. I'm exactly the same. I could never switch off, because I was always thinking, I've got this to do, I've got that to do. And I always almost resented the fact that my wife wanted to spend time with me, because I've got stuff to do. To do. And I, over Christmas, have forced myself to, stop. It comes 5, 6 o'clock, stop work, go down, like you said, and spend time downstairs. And now I've just found that now Christmas is over, I'm sort of struggling to get back into the, get a boot up my arse and get back to it, because it's like 11 o'clock before I start doing some work in the day. You need to get back into the swing of things.
It's so awesome being self-employed though, especially if you're motivated, because you can take your time, or you can get on it. I take Aaliyah to school in the morning. She has to be at the bus stop for 7:45, 7:40. So I go take her on the motorbike, drop her off at the bus stop, and then I'm like, may as well just go to work. I'm already up. And honestly, if it's great that she makes me get up at 6:30, every morning. And it's just the done thing now. We all get up at 6:30 and we all go to bed earlier. And I think it's good that we get up and get on with stuff. And I get more done in those first 2 hours before everyone else opens business than any other 2 hours in the day. So.
Yeah, it's hard to think of going back to working for somebody now. I just... once you've been self-employed in, you can actually survive. You can actually make something of it. The thought of working for someone else, I'm like, oh no, I couldn't do that.
Yeah, and it's good because I do jobs for other people and other companies, but I do them because I want to do them.
Yeah,
and it's like, oh, you want me to do this? Yeah, I can do that. Why not? That'll be fun. Or nah, not interested in doing that.
Yeah, definitely. Next one, Dean Hartley. I'm just conscious as time, pal, that's all. Dean
I'm good
Hartley.
As long as you're good.
Oh, I'm great. Yeah, no problems with me.
I don't even know how long we've been going. How long have we been going?
Just under 2 hours.
No, that's all right. I'm good.
Dean Hartley, good evening, folks. Hope you're both well. Grand, cheers, Dean. Thank you. Being human and male, we have... Oh, wow. You might not want to answer this. Being human and male, we have certain needs that need scratching now and again. So having travelled around the world for a long time, in which country did you both manage to scratch the itch the most?
In which country did we manage to scratch our balls? Is that what the question is?
I think it's
okay.
which country did you enjoy other company? Yeah.
In which that question. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So well, after being introduced to Tinder in probably in North America, really was where I was introduced to Tinder. I still travelled a lot of other places, but actually once I'd been introduced to Tinder, I was never really that interested in girls because I wasn't really bothered with the whole like hunting down, proving yourself and everything like that. Like I just wanted to boom, get in and get it done, and that's it. Get on with the next day's riding. Sorry. So being introduced to Tinder was awesome because there's a lot of people on there that are in the same position. Yeah. And what I realised is actually just be upfront. Do you want a relationship or not? Do you want to get laid or not? Like that's Tinder. And it was then opportunities arose everywhere then. So it was a grand year.
It's a grand year. Yeah, you enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Well, I was attached to my now wife. So wherever my wife came and met me, which was, funnily enough, in Thailand. She wanted to meet me in Thailand for some reason. And America. But I got engaged in America, so that was that.
Yeah.
But I would say...
I think there's a question. Well, while we're on that subject, because I think there's a question coming. I saw it on social media.
Right.
How did you meet Mrs. Poskitt?
Yeah. Ah, yes. Go on then.
Yeah, it's coming. So I may as well discuss it now since we just talked about it. So I actually met her on Tinder.
Did you?
So, yeah, I met her on Tinder. She had some spectacular photos on Tinder, and honestly, I'll be honest, right?
Beautiful sunsets.
I definitely just thought, I'd definitely give that one. That's my initial reaction. And the only thing was that she wore these really nice high heels and was stunning, and I was just like, too good for me. I just thought, but I'll give it a go anyway.
Yeah.
And it just, on Tinder it said, the only words that she put was, I'm 5'9", and love wearing heels, wink. In other words, if you're small, don't bother.
Don't bother, yeah.
And then the next line just said, actions speak louder than words. So I just thought, well, I need to put some action into it then. So I just said, okay, if actions speak louder than words, when am I taking you on a date? And that was it. And that's how I got to see her. That's how I got to see her. And I went and...
is that your camera just beeped?
My card, just the card full on the GoPro. It's a backup.
All right.
It's all right.
All right, cool. No worries.
So, that's how I met her, and she played hard to get for about 4 months. But I persevered, and that's it. And I knew we went to Burning Man together, like the week after we met. Like literally, like she was like, "Hey, I'm going to Burning Man next week. Do you want to go?" And I was like, "Nah." And I was like, "I really like her. Like, maybe I should go." And it was the best thing I did, because that was really what cemented us getting to know each other and living out of each other's pockets in the desert for a week. And then I realised that she's a real adventurer, and that was great for me. So
awesome.
Yeah.
It is funny when I think it's on your Instagram, any picture that has Camilla in it and you, then there's always somebody that just puts, "You're punching."
Yeah, definitely.
It's good to have
and
mates.
That's how I feel. I definitely, I still say to her today, like I got so lucky. Like I just found that woman that I find really, really attractive, and she's also awesome at adventure and everything. Like she's just I mean,
meant to be, dude. What's meant for you?
Everyone knows, you know, no relationship's perfect. It has its challenges, but that's life, you know, and we work through them and we have a great time. So.
Cool. Marriage advice and everything on the Brewtime podcast.
Oh,
you get everything here.
Yeah.
Next one, the Bingley Wheeler, Dave. Hi, Lyndon. As a fellow Yorkshireman, from a biker's point of view, how do you rate living in Spain compared to Yorkshire or the UK in general? Pretty similar, aren't they?
You know, the best thing down here in Spain, right, is a couple of things. The weather, for one. 320 days of sunshine here. So, you know, forget the temperature, it doesn't matter. It's 320 days blue sky sunshine. So, and then 20 days overcast, 30 days overcast and 10 days rain. So it's not too bad.
Are you down in the south then?
Yeah, right in the south, yeah.
Nice.
And the other thing is I can jump on street bike, amazing twisties, extreme enduro bike, extreme enduro, fast enduro, single track in the woods, and rally bike riding right out of my door. I don't have to put the bikes in a van. I can just go ride from the door, and I can do that for weeks on end without doing the same trail twice. That's what I came here for. Well, not just that. I mean, I was setting up a new business as well, and I needed to be somewhere close to Morocco and also somewhere that had that ability to go riding. So, so how does it compare? It doesn't compare at all from a motorcycle point of view, because I remember in the UK, you know, you have to really try to go to a private venue to go ride in your enduro bike, and honestly, you ride for 1 hour, it takes you 5 hours to clean your bike properly. It's like sticks, the mud there. I can go ride an enduro bike here 5 days without even washing it. It's just dust. You know, in the summer. In the winter, it's a bit different. I wash it every time, but generally, it's just easier going on your bikes. It's nicer. It's not as wet as much, and lifestyle's good. But Spain has its difficulties as well. You know, language barrier for those that don't speak Spanish. Getting things done here, it's not quite as advanced as you want something doing in the UK. It's easy. You want an MOT? Go get an MOT. You need something like that here. It's a little bit more challenging, and there's a lot more red tape and all sorts of things, you know. So you've got to take the rough with the smooth. So it's not comparable in any way, really. But it has its challenges. But from a lifestyle perspective, I'm really loving living here. So we all are. So as a family, we love it.
I would love to move and live out in Spain. I spend quite a lot of time out there through my own tours, and I have a mate that lives sort of half hour west of Malaga. He has his own sort of off-roady. Don't know if you've heard of them, Toro Trail
Lyndon.
or Toro Adventure. Lyndon, Lyndon Poskitt.
Yeah.
So I spend quite a bit of time down there, generally mostly on the road stuff. He keeps getting me off-road every now and then, but I love it. Absolutely love it.
A lot of people think that I moved down to Spain because of Brexit and et cetera, it really wasn't Brexit that drove me out of the UK. It was the desire to have a new business and be in an area where I could ride more. And I wanted to link my business to something riding. So, I set up the shop while I was traveling around the world, the online shop, and that's evolved. And then I wanted somewhere where I could ride with people and share my knowledge with people, and I couldn't do that in the UK as easily. You can't do 300-kilometer roadbook stages in the UK. Impossible. You just can't do it. Not properly. Not proper rally riding. So
awesome. Next one, Peter Hamedzadeh. Hi Lyndon, love the Races to Places series. When riding your bike for pleasure or racing, now or in the past, have you ever felt that you were too far over the edge or out of your comfort zone, and did you push through, carry on and hope for the best?
Jesus, yeah, I did. Plenty of times. If you haven't watched Races to Places, definitely start at the beginning and watch the episodes in order. One that sticks in my mind particular, well, there's two actually. One that sticks in my mind particular is the first time was Thailand, when I tried to ride on a remote track through a jungle. I knew it was doable. People had done it on enduro bikes, but I was on a fully loaded adventure bike, and I crossed a river, fully mud river. It was horrible. I managed to get through it, only to then get stopped by a fallen tree, which I could have got over, but by that time I was already exhausted, and I'd been going all day and done about 10 kilometers, and I just thought, this is stupid. Like, this is the point. I need to realize that I'm not Superman, and I need to go back, and I need to grow a pair of balls and tell myself to turn around for my family and for my parents and everything and go back. It's not the right thing to do. And when I did turn around and go back, I couldn't get back out of the river. I couldn't get back up the other side out of the river. And I spent about 2 hours trying to get my bike out of the river. I was completely exhausted. A bottle of Coke saved my ass. If I didn't have that Coke, I'd have probably passed out there at the side of the river. And I got through that, and then on the way back, I eventually got picked up by a group of American missionaries on the border of Myanmar, and they took me in and gave me food and a bath, and it was just awesome. But that was a moment that I had to turn around, and it was too tough. And then another one was in Angola. In Angola, same thing, remote track, didn't even know if the border was going to be open when I got there. Lots of doubt in my mind. Nobody ever goes there, not in rain season. It was rain season.
Right.
Slippery as hell. I'd fallen down 4 times. You know when it's just slippery, wet mud, red mud, clay, and I'd just crashed, without even knowing I was going to crash 4 times. And I just carried on, and I just carried on, And then all of a sudden I was just riding, and I just stopped, and I put the side stand down, and I put my head down on the front of the bike. I just sat there, and I just said, no. Something's not right, And I got off the bike, and I wandered around, and I turned my GoPro on, and I just talked how I was feeling, and I started crying because I was just like, it's not right. As much as I want to go on, something inside is telling me to go back.
Yeah.
Something's telling me to go back, and at that time I met Camilla, and I thought about Camilla and the future we have and all the things, and I just thought it just didn't worth it. I just thought I know it's going to take me a day to get back to the highway again, but so what? I'm going to go back because it's the right thing to do. And I just turned around and I just went back. And it took me a day. I went to the same hotel that I left from, that I'd told them where I was going and everything. And they were surprised to see me back, but glad that I made that decision because they knew the way was tough. And then I just went a different way and then just forgot all about it.
Yeah. Excuse me. You have to push yourself, definitely, but you also have to. You've got to listen to those little voices, don't you? Absolutely, yeah. Because sometimes.
And that rings back to when I had my accident running the marathon. I didn't know my limits. If I'd have known my limits, now, if I was running and I felt how I did that day, I'd freaking stop straight away and sit down, and take a drink. But I learned the hard way.
Yeah. Life's full of lessons, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Pete's got a second question. If you could return to any location you visited before and ride it again, where would it be and why?
Favourite location to ride again? Okay. Loved South America and the Andes, so crossing between Argentina and Chile. Up all those passes. I did 13 mountain passes crossing the border. It was awesome. Mega. Really loved it. And I'd love to go back, and I'd love to go back with family and go down there and travel, because South America was awesome. Absolutely. Yeah. Scenery, people, landscapes, off-road, awesome. So definitely South America's top on my list. But also, I had great experiences in every continent. I'd go back to Namibia, loved Namibia, Lesotho, loved Lesotho, Kazakhstan, all around there, the stands, Tajikistan probably the most.
Yeah.
So loads of places that I'd go back to, but yeah, I think where would I take my family back to? South America, Argentina, Chile.
Yeah, I only did sort of from Chile up. I went up the west side of Chile, but of South America. But that, again, that's somewhere I wish I hate to have to say regrets or I wish I'd done this, wish I'd done that, but I would have liked to have spent more time there. Yeah. Had more time because by that point I was just like focused on the States. I'm heading to the States, you know, and it's just straight through South America, Central America, right up to the States. And I'd like to go back and explore it more, definitely. Right, we have 2 more questions on Patreon, and then God, what are we at? 6:10. And then we'll do maybe 2 questions off of like Instagram or something. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Beautiful. Next one, Call Beat. As a high energy person, how do you navigate through the current restrictions, and what tips do you have for us mere mortals?
Well, that's a good question. And, you know, one of the tips I'd say, like, you know, a lot of people have criticised me being out riding my bike and being travelling and, you know, because they see me travelling and say, oh, it's irresponsible holding a training camp in Spain when COVID's on. You know, look, all I would say to people is we can all just sit at home and do nothing. Like, and yes, of course, that's the safest thing to do. Or you can get out there and do what you want to do and be as safe as possible. So you wear your mask and your face shield and whatever you need to do to get, like, you know, Camilla's in the Czech Republic now at the moment. She's flying back tonight. I didn't stop her going. If you need to do it, go and do it, but just be careful, you know, take precautions. She had a test before she went, test when she comes back. Like, do what you got to do. Don't let things put you off, and it's the same in life. Like, don't let somebody having a bad experience on the news put you off going there, because for every one of those, there's a million good experiences. So just, I do take COVID very seriously, and I do wear a mask even when I go out to the bins and stuff to take the trash. Like, you know, so take it seriously, but don't let it hold you back doing the things you want to do. If there's a way to get somewhere, you know, we have people booking on our training courses for the rally training camp from America. And they're like, I have to get a COVID test, but that's all good. I'll just get one when I land. And that's the attitude you need to have, is like, push through it, you know, get out there, do it, because we don't know when it's going to end. Like, if you can do it within the limits and the regulations and the allowables, do it. If the government say you absolutely can't do it, then you can't do it. But, you know, at least try.
Definitely.
I'm still running a business in this difficult time that's heavily based on relying on people flying into the countries. And it's difficult, but we're not going to stop. You can't afford just to stop.
This is it. You can't just stop life, can you? You've still got to make a living. And as you said, you can still travel at the moment, but there's certain conditions that go around
exactly.
it.
Just meet those conditions.
Absolutely.
Just meet those conditions,
Yeah, I took a group of lads out to the Canaries before Christmas, and same thing. You know, you've got to do a COVID test before you go, and then when you're over there, you didn't have to quarantine in the Canaries, but we had to quarantine when we came back, and it's just something that you, as you said, if you're going to do it, then just adhere by the results, the conditions.
That's it.
To allow it, to make it happen.
You know, and
definitely.
You just find, you know, if you have to quarantine for 2 weeks, what's that? What are those jobs at home that you needed to get done that you haven't been able to get done? Get them done now. Use it as a positive. Yeah.
The amount of people who I know there's people been really struggling during the whole lockdowns, isn't there? And my sympathies are with you. You know, it's been horrible. It's been tough, but you can either. You can either just give up and just sit and watch the news and just get yourself into a total pit of despair, or as you said, crack on. You've got to live with life. You've got to live your life, haven't you?
And, you know, while we're on that subject, because I know there's a question on social media about it, how do you both remain so positive, you know, and stuff like that. You know, I don't read newspapers. No. I don't watch TV. I don't even own a TV, everybody. I don't have a TV. I don't look at the news. Literally, it takes my friends here locally to tell me that the place is on lockdown, because I don't look at anything, because it just sends you into a tiz. Like, it's just like too much crap going on all around the world. Like, I just don't pay attention to it. I get on with my life and what I need to do. And it sounds selfish, but I get on with it. I respect what's going on. I'll abide by the rules, but I don't waste my time like watching all the other stuff that's going on around the world and worrying about it, because otherwise I wouldn't do anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the first week of COVID here, like back in March, April, when lockdown first hit here, that first week I was just sat watching the news and I was ill. You make yourself ill, don't you? And I suddenly thought, this is ridiculous. Get away from it. And from then on, didn't watch it. And I feel so much better for it.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah.
Last one for Patreon, Marshall3498 at YouTube. I think that's his channel, isn't it, Marshall? Teapot, I have really enjoyed your YouTube channel for a couple of years. Thank you. I have really enjoyed the podcast also. My mum passed away from cancer, but her passing was very sudden. We found out that she had stage 4 liver and kidney cancer, and she only made it 2 months after that, and I miss her every day. Sorry about that, Paul. But she asked me what I wanted before her passing away. I told her that I wanted my dream motorcycle, a Yamaha FJR 1300. I've just done a review on one. I purchased it 4 months after she passed away, and now I feel like she's with me every time that I ride it. Oh, so there's no question, but awesome, man. Yeah, Marshall, like we just said, pal, you've got to make the best of the things life throw at you, don't they? You know,
exactly.
You know, like you said, you got the memory of your mum now. Cracking. Right, we shall move across over.
Since we've finished the Patreons, I know that you're on Patreon and I'm on Patreon as well. You know, huge thank you and to respect to those guys for realizing that it is time consuming and difficult to create social content. And I have to say to my patrons, honestly, it's those guys that make it possible, because they selflessly contribute because they know and understand that this is your life, and you choose to spend your life creating content as opposed to going to work every day, but you still need to be paid for it. And if you enjoy watching it, I would say to people, like, if you enjoy watching my series, and if you've enjoyed all the free content that I've created, which is 200 episodes on YouTube, right, and you can afford €1 or, you know, a price of a coffee to watch one of my 15-minute episodes, which costs an awful lot of money and time to make, I'd really appreciate it, like Bruce would. You know, it is massive. So to all those people that sign up on Patreon and get it, massive thank you to you all. But likewise, like you, Bruce, I also know that not everybody can afford it. You know, and it's still important to have free content. So I do always make my content available long term for free. So.
Yeah, definitely. It's very humbling, isn't it, when you first start a Patreon and people actually start following it. For me, it was just like, what I couldn't understand why people were doing it, you know. And I try to meet up with my patrons, and we go for, well, when you'd go and do group rides, and we'll do weekends away and all this sort of stuff. And when you chat to people, it's just really humbling to hear that people are investing in effectively in you, aren't they, for something which you can get for free.
I've never thought of doing that, but like meeting up with people locally or meeting up with people when you're in a different country, it's a really good idea. Yeah.
That's what I enjoy about, social media is many things. It can be horrendous, but there's also a lot of positives with social media, and I love how it's brought me lots of people that I would never perhaps have met before, who just got in touch on social media, and I've met them all over the world. You know, people have invited me into their life. So
one thing, and it's something I commented on one of your Instagram posts that you made yesterday or something about, you know, some guy that was messaging you, and I put we should discuss that, because like the two distinct differences. Patreons are paying subscribers that are paying because they want to see the latest and greatest, and they want to be engaged with you. It's so positive on there. It's incredible. Yeah, what you do is on social media, there's a lot of them as well, but there's also the keyboard warriors, you know, that constantly just exactly instead of being jealous and saying and showing the world that you could never afford it, or you just be positive about it and share it with your fans who might be able to, you know, share it with your friends. Like, there's no need to knock somebody else for doing something just because you haven't done it, you know. Like there's a lot of like I don't know what I call keyboard warriors out there. No, there's not a lot. It's usually 1%.
It is.
But there's keyboard warriors out there that just really, honestly, they just make themselves look stupid in my mind. I don't even comment anymore. I leave it on, but I just ignore it.
Most of the time I won't, but every now and then I do bite back. And as soon as you bite back, you just think, because well, people will either not worry about it, or it feeds them, and they think, oh yes, I've got a bite, so they start more and more and more.
It's
just anyway, it's part of life online, isn't it? It's just part and parcel.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, we are across onto Instagram, so it's at TeapotOne Insta. Trish at the Triumph Speed Triple. Good evening to both of you. When you were on the road, did you not have something with you that you constantly said, if only I had had that with me, and if so, what? So is there anything, we've covered the 3 things you always have, but is there anything that you've thought,
if only I had?
I wish I'd brought that with me.
I don't think so, because I spent so long on the road that if there was something you wanted, you made sure you got it. When it's a lifestyle and you're on the road, that's your life, you make sure that thing, you get it. I changed camera equipment, I changed clothing, I changed riding gear, I changed helmet. I just got what I needed because it's your lifestyle. It's like when you're at home and you need a new pan, you buy it. If your cooker needs changing, you change it. It's just the same when you're traveling around the world. You get what you need. So there was nothing really that I wish I really had.
I wish I'd had. For my trip, I wish I'd had the camera equipment and like the drone and the sound stuff that I've got now. And the editing sort of experience that I have now. I'd love to go back and do that of trip.
On that same strain, mine evolved. So I started without a drone. I started with 1 camera. I finished with about 7 cameras. And the sound got better and the quality got better and everything. I wish I'd have switched to GoPros earlier. I used my helmet camera, I used the Cena camera, and it wasn't very well developed when I used it. So the quality's poor, and I watch my videos now and I'm like, that's the only thing I wish I'd have improved was because I had like really poor quality helmet camera footage and then 4K drone footage. There was no in between. So
I get you. Excuse me. It's funny because people say to me when they follow my trip, I think there's 17, 18 episodes, but they say if you look at like the first 1 or 2 episodes and then look at the last 3 or 4, they're like, the difference is just phenomenal. And you're like, well,
same.
As you said, you evolve, don't you? You learn as you go. Are you okay for time, pal?
Yeah, I'm 25? Okay. I'm probably going to have to leave in 15 minutes. So.
Right, cool. We'll wrap it up soon. Adam Moldfield. Question for Lyndon. 1. Do you think the Dakar is as special an event compared to when it crossed several countries? If, in your opinion, is something missing with it being held within one country, that little less adventure, perhaps?
Not really. I think in the big countries, the regions vary so much anyway. Like, Argentina from the north to the south is vastly different. So if the race, like it is now in Saudi, loops the whole country, then for sure you see some different regions and probably different cultures to some extent as well within that area. But you don't get away from the fact that, you've got mostly the same religion and, you see the same things every day, the same type of mosques and stuff like that if you're in one country. So, but really from a border crossing point of view, you don't really notice a massive change. Well, that's not true because from Mauritania to Senegal, that was a significant change in the way people reacted. So it probably takes something away, but I don't think it detracts from the event because the event's there to give brutal rally racing, and that's what it does. But if I was adventure riding, for sure, crossing borders is the way to go, and see different places. So somebody commented, a guy from America commented on one of my posts and said, that's why I'm so fortunate to live in America because we've got everything here. And I was just like, what a way to look at it. I know. You can stay in America all your life, that's totally fine with me, but man, you're missing out on so much of the world.
I know. It's something that Americans seem to have, not all of them, but a lot of Americans seem to have that sort of blinkered opinion on things.
From a landscape point of view, they've got ocean, they've got mountains, they've got snow, they've got lakes, they've got rivers, they've got everything.
Yeah.
And they've got deserts and everything. So yeah, they have got everything, but they've really got their own culture. And you really need to travel the world to experience some of the cultures, to really open your eyes to what is out there. Because I lived in the States for 4 years, loved it, lived there and worked there for 4 years. Did I want to live there when I met Camilla? No, I didn't want to live there. So it's everywhere's different.
Absolutely. And the thing with the States as well is it's the history, isn't it? Obviously they've got the Native American history, but otherwise their history goes back 200-300 years. And then you, like in the UK, we've got history, we've got buildings going back 1,000 years, 1,500 years.
In the UK, 100 miles is far, and in the US, 100 years is old.
That's it. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's what I would say. Yeah.
And then you go to Japan, and they've got 4,000-year-old temples and stuff there.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
Japan is amazing. Talking of Japan, what a great country.
Yeah, I love the place.
Absolutely
I could live
awesome.
there, I think.
So everyone is so gentle. No one steals anything. No one fights. Like, it's so great a country.
It is.
Nothing but great things to say about Japan.
But they cannot handle their beer.
Well, I wouldn't know because I'm not a big beer drinker. So,
man, like I ended up living with an Aussie guy and his Japanese family over there for about 3 weeks. I had a crash in Japan.
Right.
And we'd go to his local bars and stuff around where he lived, and the Japanese were great. They're big bikers, and we're having a great time. But they'd have 2 beers and be paralytic, just cannot handle it.
Yeah.
Right, very conscious of the time, mate. Last question. Let's have a look here.
It's trying to pick the good ones, isn't it?
I am. Oh, there's a technical one here. Gypsy Creonte. Your thought on moose tubes after running one for a while. Any tips?
Yeah.
How long do they last? Do they need services?
I only use Michelin. I do believe that they've put the most development and testing into mooses. Like, they seem to be the most reliable. If installed properly, I don't use one on the back on an adventure bike, but after I broke my hand and had so many punctures and crashes in Tanzania with all the volcanic rock, I fitted a moose to the front because it was only the front that was causing the problem. And I put a moose in, greased it well, fitted it. I put a rally moose in a smaller tyre, so in an Anarchy Wild tyre, and I forced it in with straps and everything, and did 8,000 kilometres all the way home. So they are good if they're installed properly, and they're used in the right conditions, then they are good. And I hear a lot of people saying, mooses don't last. I've honestly, with Michelin, I've never had a moose failure, ever. I've always changed it before it fails. I know when it's getting soft, and it's installed properly, and I've never had a moose failure. Seriously, I raced the Dakar 1,000-kilometre, 1,500-kilometre marathon stages with the same rear moose, no problem. So I think it's all down to the type, the width rim you use, the right size tyre, the right size moose for the tyre, for the terrain you're doing, the right type of moose. There's enduro mooses, there's rally mooses. You've got to do it right. And if you do it right, it should last.
You know what I'm going to ask?
What?
What's a moose?
Wait, that's classic. Yeah. So he called it a moose tube. It's not actually a tube, but it's a solid foam ring that replaces the inner tube. It's a nitrogen filled foam, like an aero. Like an Aero chocolate bar, but tiny, tiny holes, and they're filled with nitrogen, so they don't change volume with temperature. Yeah. And but literally fitting it is a bitch. It's like trying to imagine blowing an inner tube up and then trying to fit the tyre. It's a nightmare. So it's hard to fit, but effectively when it's in, you've got an effective pressure, depending what you've set up, you've got between about 6 psi and 20 psi for adventure, 20 for extreme enduro, 6. You'd be depending what you use, but you've got a psi and it stays constant. And it's just you can't get a puncture. You can hammer nails into it. You can run through barbed wire. You can do you will not get a puncture. So that's what it is.
Did you see on this year's Dakar? I can't remember who it was.
Toby Price.
Yes,
with the cut in his tyre.
Yeah, and he just ratchet strapped
I saw that. I saw that and straight away thought, that's fine, that'll get to the end. Because I've had the same thing myself before, where I've put like a 2-inch gash in the tyre and I stitched it together with like paracord, and then managed to do another 1,000 kilometres like that. So when I saw that, I thought it's a good chance that that'll hold together. They're bloody strong tyres, those Michelin Deserts. And the only thing that they don't like is sharp. If you hit something and it's sharp and it can cut the rubber, it's like paracord cords inside, not steel. So if it can cut through it, it will cut through it. But it's very rare that you find anything like that on a track. It's usually a piece of metal or something that does it.
It was phenomenal to see it, because it's basically gaffer tape and cable ties, wasn't it?
and he put the gaffer tape on just so that dirt didn't get in, because if dirt gets in between the tyre and the mousse, it causes it to overheat. So,
right. Oh, with the friction and everything.
With the friction, and they're fitted with the grease, like a silicone grease, so that there's no temperature increase between the tyre carcass and the mousse. Right. And that's another thing, you see, if you don't know that and you put the mousse in dry, it won't last 100 kilometres. Like, it'll just melt. So a massive installation is really important. Yeah.
Blimey. Right.
When you're down here next, come to the workshop, and we'll do a little video. I'll show you how to fit a mousse. You can do one. It'll be a funny video.
I'm 100% up for that. Definitely. I mean it. I'm well up for it.
Come down and
be great to do some stuff.
I'll show you a mousse and how to fit one and how it works.
Right. You're on. Yeah. Let's do it, mate. I think that's a good place to call it. I think, because there's still questions left on social media, but I've taken up 2.5 hours of your time here, mate. So, let's
do it. Let's cover those questions in episode 100. Okay, so
right,
when you're at episode 100, that's my number.
Right, you're back. You will be back for episode 100.
Yeah,
you're on.
Yeah.
Dude, before I go, it's your opportunity to give a shout out or promote anything that you like. Fill your boots.
Man, it's a tough one. Well, I always say, and I always will say, massive thank you to all my fans and followers, because a lot of the stuff that I've done has been through Kickstarter. Some of the big projects that I've done, the big media projects that, they take an awful lot of money, almost 100,000 euros, some of the projects, and they were all made possible by my fans and followers that contributed, those that chipped in. So a huge thank you to those, all the partners that I work with. As well as I do, it takes a lot of work to build good relationships with good companies, and keep those relationships even through trying times and everything. And I think I've kept, from the beginning, I've tried to keep a really consistent flow of people that help me and stick with them, and can't thank them enough. Obviously the big ones like Motorex, Michelin, Akrapovic, they're all they're big companies, but there's a lot of smaller ones as well, that help in any way that they can. So huge thanks to fans, followers and partners and stuff. And yeah, final thing, I've just launched a new website this last week, a new business that I've been working on for over a year down in Spain, Portugal and Morocco. And it was my passion really, is, racing rally bikes and travel and adventure. And obviously I've been very successful at it, and a lot of people ask me a lot of questions, and I've kind of been thinking in the last year of my world travels, well, what's missing? What is there an opportunity to start a new business where people will be able to connect with me and learn from me? And I decided that it's very difficult, there's loads to do, but I decided to open a rally training centre. So we do rally training in Spain, Portugal and Morocco, but rally really is adventure riding. I mean, a rally is just a huge adventure ride at speed, but you take away the timing element and you've got an adventure ride. So basically that's what we're offering. Exactly the same experience as like a Dakar rally, but without the race and without the competitors. You just get to go and ride in awesome places with road books on factory bikes. And it's great for people that want that experience or they want to train. So that's what we're doing. And new website, LyndOnPoskITRacing.com. My shop is still on there. It's just been revamped with a load of other stuff as well. So.
Mega. I will put all the links. If you're listening to the podcast, check out the show notes. There'll be all links to Lyndon's website, Patreon, and all the socials will be down there. If you're watching the YouTube video, check out the description. Same thing.
And we have these awesome T-shirts. This is Basil Bike. I put the T-shirt on especially for today.
We're all repping the brand.
Yeah, exactly. So we got a few different T-shirt designs. But if you're into T-shirts, head over. There's a few different T-shirts designs on the website and stuff. Awesome. And yeah, awesome.
And it all helps, folk. Honestly, believe you me. Even buying a sticker, a T-shirt, a hat, it all helps. So thank you to everybody for all your support.
It's a big culmination of things, you know, like when I think about what I've got going on, you know, it's like Patreon, web shop, business with the riding and everything, and all the little things I do for other companies like KTM and Husqvarna and all around. It's just a massive, even I'm self-employed and there's all these little projects going on all over the place, and it all makes a living, you know. That's how you make a living, doing all those things. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And thanks to you, Bruce, for inviting me on and listening to me rabbit on for 2 hours. And I know you've got your own world travel experiences, so it's always fun to talk to somebody and share experiences and stuff.
I started this podcast to chat with people like you, but also to sort of let other people out there know that people that do these amazing things that you've done, they're just normal. You're normal people, you know. It's just you make that decision to go, and as you've nailed it already when you said it's in the mind. It's when you decide you're going to do something, it's you that makes it happen. So
yeah, and don't just think that's for a world trip.
Yeah,
that's for small things as well. Everything.
Life in general. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Lyndon, thank you so much for coming on and spending such a long time, you know, chatting and being open and honest with us. I really do appreciate it, mate. And
no, it's awesome. Thank you very much.
Episode 100, you're on. I'll get you back on.
All right. Don't forget. Let's get back on and answer some more questions. I wonder what we'll both be doing then.
Mate, who knows? Might still be in lockdown. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. Yeah.
Nah, we won't.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. Thanks for listening. It's been good talking to you, Bruce.
It's been a pleasure, mate. Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for coming on. Right, folks, I hope you've enjoyed this one. Like I said, make sure you check out all Lyndon's socials, give a like, a follow, a subscribe, whatever it is, over onto Lyndon's platforms. Folks, we're on the home stretch here, I think. So keep your chins up. Keep focusing on all the good things. Don't dwell on the bad. Don't watch the news. Look after those that you love. Get on out there, do your thing, and live your life. Woo-ha!
Yeah.
Dude, mega. Thank you so much, man. Really enjoyed that.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Yeah.